because I have to leave to come.
Okay. It is currently going live. Hello, everyone. Can you hear us? Maybe, hopefully. Chantel will be on momentarily. She had a technology update right before everything went live, so she is getting back on from another device because it was not cooperating. Say hello, Margie. Hi, Joyce. Hi, Jan. All right. Always good when we have the technology figured out. Susie Scissorhands. I like it. That is a YouTube handle. And Rhonda, hello. Where is everybody joining us from today? Love to hear that. I have to send Chantal the invite link one more time. We got Florida. AB's on. Donna. I am working on my temperature blanket again today. I'm going to try and get the first week of February 2024 done while I'm on here. Florida, are you in the part of Florida that had a freak snowstorm, or are you more south? We're having random weather here too. It's been rather cold where Chantel and I are at. Yeah, Michigan, Ohio. Stephanie 2.0 is on. She's right across the river from me. Washington, Nashville. Hopefully Nashville's warmer than where we're at. I remember going to QuiltCon in Nashville and it was like beautiful. And then I got back to the cold, cold upper Midwest and it was not fun. Perth, Australia. She's in the future. I always love it when our Australians are on. That's fun.
All right, I'm back.
Yay. Maine.
Technical
We have people from
difficulties to
all
the
over.
max. God
It
forbid you take a
happens
bathroom
sometimes.
break.
We've got Suzanne is on from Florida. She does not have snow, but it is cold. What is cold to you?
Yeah, I
Because
agree.
it was 1 degree when I left my house this morning. And I decided I had to break down and buy myself a coat. It's
Because it
40
was 1 degree.
degrees. Anchorage, Alaska for 40. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, I have plenty of coats, but they're a little snug at the moment. So I was just trying to tough it out since my goal is to get a little bit smaller, hopefully, by next year. And I could not tough it out any longer. My Costco fleece was not appropriate for a work meeting with a board director, unfortunately. So I needed something a little bit more appropriate for that. But
I have
like,
like
you're
4
middle
Apple
aged.
devices here and I can't get a single one to like cooperate with me today.
Oh no. You're middle aged when you start buying your clothing from Costco. I
Oh,
think like
well
that's
then my
one
husband's
of the
been middle-aged
signals.
for at least 10 years.
Yes. Oh, I mean, I think 30 counts, right? But
Frown. Frown.
oh, I know. I'm turning 40 this week. We're gonna have a little online birthday party for me next week because it'll be
Next
the
week
day
we're
after
having
my
a birthday
birthday.
party. Everybody show up and
Yes. Tell me all your over the hill jokes. It'll be highly entertaining. I'm looking
oh
forward to it.
yeah,
I want all the over the hill jokes.
you'll be there.
Oh, Suzanne is originally from upstate New York, so cold snow. Yes. I feel like, yeah, it's very different if you're originally from elsewhere and then you're in Florida.
That's why
And then,
everybody's in Florida though. I feel like people aren't in Florida because they're from Florida. They're in Florida because they're from New York or Illinois.
true.
Like that's where people from Florida are from.
Diane, I am an Aquarius, actually.
I'm a Capricorn.
Are you?
I am.
Are they supposed to get along? I don't know enough about star signs.
All I know is I'm supposed to be very, very organized.
Well, that didn't stay true. You
I
are in some
apparently
respects,
wasn't
though.
born at the right time.
It depends on what you're organized about. Like Chantel knew everything we were supposed to know about when we were going
Schedule.
and where when we were on our trip together. And I was like, is it happening today? And if not, then I don't need to know about that.
If it wasn't happening in the next like 45 minutes, it was not a Stephanie problem yet.
No, it was not.
But
It's
if it
future
was
Stephanie problem.
happening in the next like 4 years, it was a me problem.
Yeah. There are a lot of things that are future Stephanie problems. Like, for example, I dropped my stitch marker that I used to tie off on this. I have no idea what the heck happened to it. And my floor is actually clean, so that's saying something. But this is a future Stephanie problem. I will deal with this at the end of today's episode when I crawl on my hands and knees to find whatever the heck happened to that thing.
So is that going to be a problem or no?
I have others, so it'll be fine. But I find it's a little easier because I usually, if I'm changing colors, I have two live stitches at the end
Hold
that I
it
want to
up. It's
put.
looking pretty.
It is looking pretty. I did end up going for
Ooh,
black for my like neutral row in between.
I
Um,
like that.
but I've got two live stitches usually if I'm changing colors. So I want to just put my little stitch marker through there and then it clasps together so that they can stay live and I don't have to worry about like losing a hook or keeping it in or pulling things out.
I don't speak half of this language, but I
It's
know that
it's
if you
just
pull
it's like
something,
putting a safety pin in the loop so that way it can't get pulled undone.
okay, well,
Because
that
otherwise you
seems
have to
critical.
redo it all. Yeah. But I have others. So this is not going to be the end of the world. It'll be fine.
I just
But
realized I didn't have my earbuds in. I am all a mess today, clearly.
it is all good. Can my knees handle it? Very funny, Stephanie. I'm not that old yet. Thank you very much.
Actually, my knees just cannot sometimes. They're like, what are you doing? Why are you
I
getting on the floor?
so I have noticed that getting up and down is getting more challenging, but I think it's because I have too much weight on my body and not because of that. Like it's just awkward getting down and up again. And
That's fair.
so,
When I was a little bit bigger, it was awkward, but like I lost the weight and my knees still bother me when
do they?
I'm down. But then again, I was a skater, and so I don't have the
You probably beat
best.
them up.
I
Yeah.
really did. Not as bad as my wrists. My knees I usually saved, but the wrists are
Yeah.
bad. The wrists are really bad between piano and all the hand sewing and everything, like
Yeah.
crocheting, it really gets. What's your
I
little
am
tip? What's your little band thing?
so I have it's for tennis elbow. And if you have tennis elbow, you wear it up here. And I wear it with the pad on like the inside of my arm. And that really helps. And also I'm finding that I have almost no tension in it when I've got my elbow anchored on my desk while I'm sewing. So
Oh,
I'm just like going along like this with my arm on there, and it's like no stress whatsoever. I think the additional, like when you have it up and you're doing this all
hmm.
the time, that like
Well,
messes
you're
me up.
holding that
Yes.
I want to
Well,
say
and then
fabric,
this is
but that
heavy too. It is. You're making a fabric. That's a correct thing to say.
well,
But
when people ask me like what I do, and I'm like I'm a quilter, but I don't really dabble in other arts, and they ask me why, and I say I like to work with the fabric, not make the fabric.
true.
And so, yeah, I totally understand that. Like you made the fabric.
Yeah. Angela's sweater that I knitted her for school got dress code banned this week. She's not
What?
allowed to wear it anymore.
Why?
Well, it's
Promiscuous sweater.
oversized. It's oversized is I think the biggie thing. But she's saying, "Oh, it's gray and fuzzy." But this child has worn gray and fuzzy cardigans forever. I think her teacher is a stickler. I think if I had any other teacher, it would be no big deal, especially if I email and say, "Hey, I made this because my child has zero body fat and gets cold."
They
And
really
it's
did
hard to
that
find
though?
things.
I'm like
They really did
irritated
that.
for you.
They really did that.
So what, I'm
So
sorry,
now she
what was
can't
the
wear it anymore.
reasoning why she can't wear a plain gray knitted sweater from her mother because she's cold?
Uh, because apparently it has to be white or blue, but let me tell you, there are so many gray sweaters and cardigans. It's a lot. So that is not enforced at all. And it's fuzzy. Apparently fuzzy sweaters are not allowed. And because it's the velour knit. But I have one that she wore from Von Mar for a year and a half, and nobody ever cared about that.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I think I just have a stickler. I have a stickler, and it is huge. It looks like she's wearing like one of those like blanket hoodie things. So if it fit
Yeah,
there, it
well,
might not be.
maybe that could be your teacher gift at the end of the year. Be like, here's a sweater I made for my daughter, but since it's oversized and doesn't fit her and work for the, thing, you
Yes.
can have it instead.
No, she goes to a Catholic school. We are not Catholic. We're there for the education because our school district is like trying to get 40% to like meet
Be
and
able to
exceed
read.
standards. And I'm like, it's not really. I never thought I would be a private school person. Like I always went to public school and my kids or Angela started at public school. But during the pandemic, it
Mm-hmm.
was crazy. And we started with remote, but it was before she was diagnosed with ADHD, but I was kind of starting to suspect that maybe we had something going on. And so sitting, even though she was doing really well, she knew the material. It would take like 7 hours, and she was in first grade, to complete the assignments for the day and just be able to mark as done on Google Classroom because her sitting in front of a computer and doing these tasks that are too easy for her
Mm-hmm.
was like torture. And then I still had to run the business on top of that, and I had a newborn. And so I'm
Yeah,
like,
nope.
I couldn't do it. And so the second I found out she was like a year ahead in her reading scores for the MAT testing, and then like 6 months ahead in math. And I was like, forget it. I'm going to go at my own pace. We still followed all the curriculum that the school followed because I fully intended to put her back in. And
Excuse me.
um, but we just kind of went at our own pace. And I immediately bumped her up to second grade reading because that's where she was reading anyway. I didn't want her to be bored.
You basically
And
played teacher.
I did. I was a teacher for most of first grade. And then at the end of the school year, the most our district, and this is probably why they're not doing great test wise, the most our kids were in school throughout the district was like 4 to 6 hours a week in person. And I knew that we either needed to be all in or all out, and that half, you know, hybrid would not work for
Yeah.
us. And they did not know what they were going to do because Illinois was like really very strict on what they were and were not going to allow in terms of,
It
you know,
was it
kids
was
in
a
school.
wild time.
It was so wild. And so we toured the Catholic school because they were all in person. And she was like, "Can I start tomorrow?" It was a Thursday. The principal goes, "How about Monday?" And I was like, "Okay." And it
All
felt like I
right,
got,
fine.
and she did, I gave her a map test, testing at the end just to make sure I didn't mess her up, and I didn't. And so
See, I don't know
it
where
was
you knew
okay.
how to do all of this. I was like,
Google, basically.
um,
Like I knew that the lesson plans were online, and
see,
you
I
know, I
didn't
had the
know all
printer
this
at the
stuff.
shop so I could print out like 100-page lesson plans and
This is
just
the stuff
follow
I
it.
I still haven't. Ay.
But
I'm really glad I'm not a teacher, and I'm really glad my kids go to school because
yeah. Oh,
every
I would
time I
never
send them
do it
on that
again.
bus, I'm like, I love you. I love me. I love you going to school.
I am not cut out to homeschool. I know that there are people who love it
Oh,
and really find it
sorry, I
fulfilling.
cringe at that idea.
I
That's
am
just
not that person at all. I did it out of necessity only. And I mean, she's doing fine. She's testing at high school level now and she's 10. So I did okay. I didn't mess her up. So I feel
my kids
like
are average
we're
and
good.
great. I love them for that. You
There you
know,
go.
that. Then again, my kids are a little younger, but they
They are.
they're they're gonna be fine.
They will
Hazel
all be
mostly
fine.
just can't stop talking at the table, which I
That,
mean, I
she comes
relate.
by that honestly, I think.
I relate to that. And JD just doesn't care all that
Yeah.
much.
That may be
Um,
it.
and you know, between that, Penny is 3 and knows her ABCs and all her color. I didn't realize she knew all her colors. And the other day, she was picking out beads. I had a friend over. We had so you guys know. Oh, what does my shirt say? It says available for weekends.
I like it.
Yeah, I feel a little bit like Napoleon Dynamite though, because I have like a belt on too and my glasses.
Why are you so still put together? I've been in jammies for like hours.
Because I got new clothes from Thread Up and I did
Oh, yes.
laundry. And so when you do laundry and you have the clean things, you get really excited and you put them
I
on.
I understand that feeling.
Yeah. And so that is the only
Oh,
the
like,
only reason.
we
Yeah.
discussed my thread up outfit earlier today,
Yeah,
but
she had a great outfit
I did.
this week that apparently got everybody talking in a good way.
Everybody I ran into was I had a big meeting today for like my work. And so I was the only one to like address everyone else was like jeans and whatever, but I was like, if you're gonna go meet with board members, you're gonna like I'm like had this green blazer on. It was like Kelly green, and then I had a black top with that, and then I love a good midi length pleated skirt, and this
Hmm.
one was like this like green white like watercolor
Hmm.
print. It was gorgeous. And then I did black opaque tights with booties that had
You
gold,
really got
like
dressed.
they had gold like studs all on the back of the heel. And so then I did gold accents with everything else, like my grandma's jewelry and ring, like,
You were down all the way to the
all the
binding.
mid-century
You were
costume
done.
jewelry. And then I decided it was cold, and so I got a and it all
I got
came
a
from
coat.
ThreadUp. Every single thing came from ThreadUp, and so it was all a really great price. And then I got a coat for $17 because it's like way late. I did not take a photo. I should have taken a photo. And I had a green bag to match it all. That the board president was like, "Oh, that's a really cute bag." And I was like, Stephanie pulled it off.
I did it. I did it. I can still wear clothes.
Yes. Oh, I am not putting it all back on. Those were control top pantyhose, so those go
Oh
on once
yeah,
a day and then
that
they
is
come off.
that is a that is work. That
I
is work
know.
in it of itself.
It is. Like you got
I
to pull
feel that.
a leg up and yeah, it's no good.
I am wearing a
But
shoe right now. I don't know why I'm wearing shoes. I am wearing they're very soft and everything, but I can other people sew with shoes on? I can't sew with shoes on.
I have a friend who will sew with one shoe on only, not the one she's driving the pedal with.
Yeah, that well
She
that's
always
also
just takes
me.
it off. Yes.
Yeah, I'm a one shoe wonder.
It
I'm
makes
like
me
trying to do
laugh
it
as
with
I
the other
drink.
shoe and I can't. I cannot sew. I can't play the piano with my shoe on either.
That I can do. I had to do, so I studied at a conservatory of music.
I mean, I can, but I
And so
just don't.
I had to perform as part of my like graduation because I was in like a pre-collegiate program, like a 45-minute recital with everything memorized in like a ball gown, like a prom dress situation. There's a video of it somewhere.
Can't wait to see that.
I know, I need to get that digitized.
Yeah, right?
That needs to be
In a
immortalized.
ball
That
gown.
Stephanie
I love
once
how
was really good at the piano.
the piano recitals are always hilarious. They're like, yes, put on a ball gown and play us something. And we're like, you put on a ball gown and listen to me. I
Yeah,
worked hard on this. You wear the ball gown.
I know. It was like corseted too. Oh my gosh. It was a lot.
I'm a barefooter.
I have
But
my
that's because
slippers
I
on.
just don't really care for socks. I like socks. I like socks that are adorable. I like the idea of socks.
I can only wear them for so long, and then I end up losing them because they get taken off at weird places, and like one ends up under a couch,
We have a dog that eats socks.
inevitably.
So
Ah,
I
So
have
you're
a
pulling
lot
it
of
out the
single
other
and
end.
searching. Yeah. That's what we call them in our house, single and searching.
That's funny. We have like a sock like basket where the singles
We
go.
it's basically like it's pre-coffin though in our house. We
Yeah.
used to when socks would go missing a long time ago, Ben used to love playing with socks as toys. So we would tie a knot in the sock that survived and make it into a
Hmm.
toy for him. So we put a cotton ball in the toe and then tie a
Yeah.
knot in it. And sometimes we would put like plastic wrap or something to make it crinkle because he's like the size of a cat.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we would tie a little knot in it and make a sock toy. Well, now we have a dog that just eats like adult size socks, like it's delicious for him,
Gross.
swallows them whole. So, no more sock toys around. But uh, yeah, we have a lot of single socks living in this house. I swear one day I'm going to a system where everybody wears the exact same socks,
That doesn't do it.
but
I
I
did that.
can't.
Angela and I are now wearing the same socks, and it doesn't make a difference. They still go
Three
missing.
out of five of us wear the same socks.
Yeah.
Ooh, guess who?
I'm guessing you, Hazel, and JD.
Yes, that's right. We have a
Yes.
drawer on the main floor, so we don't keep our socks in our room, which kind of brings us to our next topic. We were going to talk a little bit more about where we are with organizing, but
Yes,
we don't
organize and
keep our
declutter.
socks in our bedrooms in our house, which some people find is weird. We have a drawer of socks on the main floor, like under the TV and our TV
Well, if
dining
it's like
kitchen.
community sock wearing, that makes sense.
Well, everybody needs socks when they're leaving, not when they're upstairs. So yeah, we keep our our socks on the main floor. Well, for most of us, because otherwise we end up running back upstairs. Joan asked if the dogs are better. My little dog is, well, better
On the Rainbow Bridge.
on the Rainbow Bridge. She passed peacefully though. She went with Dad, and then I had a friend come over, and we had breakfast, and we made bath bombs and bracelets, and we did stuff to keep my mind busy, and it's been
That's
fine.
good.
It's been a lot less pee to clean up because, having a senior dog that was not
Yeah,
doing so well. Um, and now
I've
we
been
know
there.
when Ben is doing it instead. Ben's my little Yorkie poo who he likes to sneak down here and leave me presents.
How exciting for you.
Yeah, I love those presents.
Remy has been a little naughty with his present leaving lately.
Mm. At least they're not like, cats that leave presents of like mice and stuff like that.
I had a cat temporarily, and that did happen.
You had a cat?
For like 2 years, I had a cat, actually.
That's not
And Adam is allergic.
temporarily.
It's temporary in my book because it wasn't like for life. But Adam's mom is deathly allergic, so when I was pregnant, we had to rehome the cat so that she could like come into
Oh my
our home
God.
and see the baby.
Oh Lord.
But for
That's
like two
kind of
years,
funny.
she did not step foot in my house, which, I never had to do a deep clean
Hmm.
for that. So
Think of the
I
opportunity.
was like, cat, maybe I
What
need
was the
another
cat's
cat,
name?
kitty. It
For
showed up at
real.
our quilt shop. Yes, for real. It showed up at our quilt
Your
shop.
cat. You were literally like, it's a cat named Cat, like straight out of
So
Breakfast with Tiffany's.
I don't know that I should say all this on the internet, but that's okay. We're going to do it. I'm going to tell you my law-breaking ways. We technically stole the cat.
We technically,
Technically.
you heard it first here, folks.
So,
Kitty Cat
uh,
was stolen.
so the cat showed up at our quilt shop when we had a brick and mortar shop, and it had a collar on. And I took it down to get microchipped, and we were able to reconnect it with the owner. And the owner came to pick it up, and it was like we'd done foster for a long time with dogs. And so it was like red flag after red flag. The cat had not been living at our house for a really long time. She did not have litter or food for it. I was like giving her the food that we had purchased for the cat, not knowing how long it would be hanging out with us. And she's like, I'm never letting you out again. Very next day, very next day, and it had traveled quite a ways to get to us.
It came back
She
to you.
it's back in the shop and its collar is gone. And like the second that lady left, we're like, if that cat shows up again, it's our cat. And sure as shit, next day that cat is back at the quilt shop. And it was on a really busy road. So we're like, we can't
That
do
was
this.
a pretty busy road. Yeah.
So we were thinking about we were going to find it a home. We never intended to keep the cat, but then we ended up keeping the cat. And for like 2 years. And then I'm like trying to find a home for it. And I finally end up calling Animal Care and Control, which is a no-kill shelter. And I'm kind of telling him the story. And mind you, I knew the director from my reporting days. And I called her when this went down and she was aware of what I've done. And she did not tell me, Stephanie, you're doing something illegal. That never did that get brought up. But I'm talking to the front desk staff and I'm trying to make sure that this cat is not going to go back to this woman because she clearly is an irresponsible pet owner. And and she's like, you realize that this is illegal. And I've seen people be arrested for this. And I'm like very pregnant at this point. And
Arrested
I'm in
for
for
not giving
not
somebody's cat back when
refusing to
they're
give back
not.
an animal. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like envisioning spending the night in county jail, pregnant. And then I'm also really upset about the cat and it was going through like a respiratory thing and I had to give it medicine and it like it's stressed out and I was just like so upset about this cat. And I was just sobbing because they were like, you have to bring it in
And
right
you're like
now.
emotional,
They're like,
hormotional.
you have to turn this, oh, you have to give us this cat like right now. You can't like keep it any. I'm like, I'm just like losing my mind and sobbing, giving him this cat. And I kept track of her until she got adopted on the page. But so I stole a cat and lived with it for 2 years. And she loved me. And I never wanted to get rid of her. But also, a mother, a grandma's gonna want to see her baby,
Long-term borrowed.
I guess. I was bad,
It's
but
fine. No, you saved that cat's life.
I did. It would have been flat on the 30th Street had
Oh
we not done
God,
it.
it would have been flat on 30th.
But
It came back to you.
it
It's
did.
like
It wanted
homeward
me.
bound. It wanted
But we
you.
knew its name from the microchip, which is why it ended up with a kitty name. That's where that whole tangent came from. There was a reason.
Its name was Kitty.
Yeah, its name was Kitty. It came with that name, so we just called it Kitty.
Who names
But
their cat Kitty?
somebody who's not very
Very
imaginative
creative, I guess.
and doesn't then take care of said kitty.
I'm naming the next dog Doggy.
There you go. Could
No,
work.
I couldn't. I name all my dogs like human names.
She was a not a very good cat. She like tore up so many things. But I that didn't prevent me from loving that cat very much. But
I didn't ever know you had a cat.
I did for like a while. So what's everybody
That's
working
hilarious.
on before we get
Yeah,
into
now
our
that
organizing
it was
tangent?
an intervention. Thank you, Becky. That's what
Yeah,
it was. It was an intervention.
it
You were
was. I didn't I
wait,
didn't know I was breaking laws. It's all good.
and then you did, and you still did it.
Well, once I
Whatever.
did, I turned the cat in because I didn't want to go to jail pregnant. That would be
Oh
awful.
my God.
The cat had multiple scratchy posts, but it preferred my couch and
Of course it did.
Lazy Boy. It really enjoyed those two.
Oh, with the lazy boy, of course.
Yeah, yeah, the faux leather Lazy Boy. Had a
Oh
really good time
Lord.
with that. And we tried like the double-sided tape that you put on it. That didn't help. But
No. Yeah, what is everybody working on? Because I feel like you're going to be working on your temperature quilt for like forever. Did you ever figure out how long it's going to be?
um it's still a little hard to tell because I got better, significantly better, about halfway through. And so the first several rows are much wider and longer than the rest.
Hmm.
So I think it's going to be like 8 feet tall and it's like 7 feet wide,
Okay, that's not
which
bad.
is not bad. If though you're just going straight by how long the first row is for the
Uh-huh.
first month, It's going to be 12 feet. But I don't think that's actually going to be the case because when you measure like the gauge that I'm at once I kind of got my groove, I think we're going to be closer
I really hope it isn't 12
to the 10.
long.
And everybody can get under the blanket. The whole
And
couch,
it's a
the
blanket
whole
for
family,
everyone.
it's going to be under the thing.
You take January, you take March, you get,
I know, right?
July.
Suzanne is working on a project bag for cross stitch. That sounds fun and is crocheting now. I pulled out some crochet projects that I considered, but then I thought that took too much concentration for today. And Carrie Quilts is putting borders on a Dutchman puzzle throw. I don't think I've ever heard of that pattern.
Oh, a Dutchman's puzzle is
I'm gonna have to Google this.
I gotta think about it. I know what it is.
All right,
I just
Google.
have to think about it. I
Google
gotta
to the
plug
rescue.
us in here. You might have to read some of the comments for a while because I gotta plug in over here. Give me a quick second. I will get
Oh,
another
it's a bunch
plug
of
in.
flying geese. You are a glutton for punishment. It's 8 flying geese all going in
Oh, and
clockwise
they're like
directions. Yes,
this. Okay,
yes.
I can think of it now.
Carrie says that the blanket can reach her in northern Maine. I mean, it
Yep.
might. It might be long enough. We can do the yarn bombing with it. It'll be big enough to
Yeah.
do a fence or something.
Well, maybe it's a two-part best friend blanket and I get some.
Maybe. Uh,
You're
Lily's
like, you
so
get
funny.
July to December. Oh yeah. So we have to talk a little bit about Lily while everybody's telling us what their
Oh,
projects
yes.
are, because
So Lily
is
keeps score.
engaged.
She is engaged, but she keeps score. And so she saw me working on this and wanted to know whose it was going to be because she wants to make sure that she gets equal amounts of things as her big sister. But Lily, who's turning 5 on Tuesday,
Or you
is
shouldn't have added
engaged.
that part yet. She's
Yes,
engaged. Her
she's
daughter is
engaged.
engaged.
Yep.
She's 5.
And yeah, well, not quite, almost.
Almost.
And we're gonna meet her fiance on Sunday at her birthday party at a jump playground.
I love that he sounds Italian, like he's gonna
It
fit in with the
does.
family.
So uh
They're gonna break bread together.
sh- she's been telling me that she has um Giano at school loves her and they're gonna get married. So she's told me this on multiple occasions. And they're gonna get married when they get older. But Giano really sounds like a name that she would make up. Like she's constantly making up names for her dolls based on stuff that she hears on YouTube Kids or whatever, like Elsia and things like that.
Yeah, and that's what they
Yeah,
do at that age. And it's always
yeah,
like a EO or an Ia
yeah.
or a something Lee or whatever.
So I never thought in a million
It was
years that
real.
it was a real child because I know all the kids that are in her class and that's not a name that I know. And it turns out it's in the other 4 and 5 year old class. He's in that one.
Oh,
So they know each other from aftercare. And it's just so cute. And so I ended up he's finding out that in fact this child is real. And I was like, well, do you want to invite him to your birthday party? And then she got all sweet. She's like, yeah. And so
oh
I
Lord.
I text the mom and I was like, hey, sorry for the late notice, but would you like to do that? Oh, and by the way, I think our children are engaged. And he goes, she was telling me he had a girlfriend, but I thought he was full of it too. I didn't think it was real. And apparently he got all
Oh
very
Lord.
serious and goes, yeah, that was my girlfriend that I was telling you about, and we love each other and we're gonna get married when we're older. And I'm like, oh my gosh. It's so it's like,
Romance isn't dead. It just
I know,
happens when you're 4.5 now.
apparently.
Yeah.
So it's so
Hmm.
funny. Oh goodness.
I mean, if anybody had a boyfriend, it would be Lily.
It would be.
And she didn't make him
Angela.
be her boyfriend, which I'm pretty impressed about because I feel like she would be the kid that's like, you're my boyfriend now. You
I
gotta
think it
suck that
it
up.
sounds quite mutual for the two of them, but I don't even know where she gets understands what a boyfriend is, because it's not like Angela's at the age where she's like interested in boyfriend, girlfriend, anything.
I don't know, probably from Frozen.
Maybe Kristoff.
Yeah, and Hans and stuff. And I don't, that's the best I can think of.
I don't know. It's just really funny. But the funniest part is so Lily has invited my parents to her party too. And so which is I'm pretty sure the last place my dad wants to be is at a party with 16 5-year-olds bouncing off the walls for
I
an
mean,
hour and a
that
half.
that tops my list of places I don't want to be too. But
But Lily invited, so they're gonna go. But it's so funny because like the whole family is gonna meet this little boy.
it
It's so
literally is
hilarious.
like this big Italian like
Well, and
meet.
my dad's name is Giovanni. He never changed it legally. And so we call him John, and he's been John for like my whole life, but
But
his name
is
is
the
Giovanni Di
yeah.
Pasquale. And
Oh my gosh.
yes. Oh
That's
goodness.
awesome.
I know. We're gonna keep it in the family. We can add some. They're technically 3/8 Italian because they got a quarter from me and an eighth from Adam. So maybe we can increase it for the grandkids.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I feel like it's one of those things you just keep.
Yes.
You
It's so
just
funny.
are still. I have no
It's funny.
Italian in me. You can tell, can't you?
You are a little fair.
I'm a little fair.
I'm actually very fair, but I still have the olive undertones. But
Yeah, I'm apparently you'd never guess it. Irish and English. Yeah,
I
no, you
would
would
guess that
totally
very
guess
much
that.
so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you would. Little bit of
Let's see.
Norwegian in there.
What's everyone else working on? Becky B is not doing anything tonight, but she's got a Jello erase quilt that she's going to be doing. She got a queen, wow, with 3 jelly rolls. You were busy. That was a been very long strips to start with.
That is quite the race. That's like a
Yes,
marathon.
it is for sure. Um, let's see. Melissa got some bins for her fat quarters and organized them by color. Very good. It always is so satisfying to look at them when
It
they're all
looks
like
so
that.
pretty.
It's so fun. And then you can find what you need really easily and see where
Mhm.
you have holes where you actually do need to go to the fabric store and buy more things.
Like how I had zero purple when I
And I
went through
brought mine
all of my.
over. Oh, Chantel still
That was
has
so.
that bin.
I still have your purple bin. Obviously, you miss it very much.
I left a space for it when I was
There you
reorganizing.
go.
I was like, Chantel, it's that bin. I gotta leave room for it. It'll go right
Oh,
here.
I have to interrupt. Remember how you were poking fun at me because my bins were no longer a thing because
Yes.
Bed Bath and Beyond got closed. All right. Well, it turns out my bins are still a thing.
Oh, did you
They
order
just
a ridiculous amount?
no, but I just had to say I can still get them. They're by iDesign, but iDesign had given the rights to Bed Bath and Beyond apparently to name them their own thing. And then when Bed Bath and Beyond closed up, iDesign took them back, and iDesign sells a whole bunch of stuff at like Container Store and places like
So,
that.
what rabbit hole did you go down to find out all this
Okay,
information?
so it was a mistake actually. It was a complete mistake. I'm organizing everything except for my fabric because there's nothing better than fixing a problem you need to fix by not fixing it at all and fixing everything else instead, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically what I did. I'm fixing everything else instead of doing the project I'm supposed to be doing, which is down here in the sewing room. And in doing so, I thought I have to organize. And in organizing, I felt like I needed to buy bins because that seemed like the first step, even though they tell you in every book, don't buy anything yet. I
I
bought the
always
things.
start with buying the bins.
It makes
Always.
me excited. Like
Yes.
it's like buying the fabric, right? Like you got to buy the bins. So I bought the bins. I found that I still have access to these other bins, but that's not here nor now. We can get back to that after we see what everybody else is working on. Oh, the comic book boards.
I don't know what size they are. They're whatever the standard size is
You
for
use
comic book boards.
standards and I use silvers, which are
Do
a
you?
little bit bigger. They're a little bit
So,
bigger in width, not in height.
I think it's like it's not by 11. It's I don't have
It's
the
by like
original
10.
paper with
Hold on,
me.
I think I
Yeah,
have some right here, actually.
it's a little shorter. But
Yeah.
they're not
10
very
and a
thick.
half.
Yeah, they're not very thick at all, which I would not be able to fit any more height in my shelves the way they're positioned.
They
So you
are
might want
like,
to see like what space
yeah,
you have.
they are thick enough that like you could probably fold it once and it would be like comfortably folded. But if you tried to fold that paper like this,
It wouldn't
it wouldn't stay. So, I mean,
I
they
mean,
have girth to them.
they're meant to go
They look
like you
kind
put
of
a
like
comic
this.
board in the plastic sleeve that's archival, and then you put the comic book board behind it, and it's meant to keep it straight so that you can
Mhm.
like store all your stuff and they don't get damaged. And so they hold up really well. Not that
Let me
they're going to
see if I
stand up
have a
on their
yard of
own,
fabric
but
to show you.
I've got nine
I would say
yards
it's
of
half an
backing
inch.
fabric on some of them, so you can get a lot on there, a whole lot on there. I have a
I have up to
108s
like
wrapped
nine
around there.
yards on some of them.
Yeah, I've got 3 yards of 108s on many of them. Um, I have big, thick wool coating going around some of them, and
Hmm.
they're pretty versatile. What is really helpful though is getting those alligator clips that you can get on Amazon. They come like 1,000 to a pack. You're never gonna run out.
The ones that are really annoying when you're trying to help your husband get ready, like, and try on a dress shirt,
Yeah, and
and
they're
they
all
have
over the
all the
place.
little clips and pins, those
Yeah,
little clips.
and you can get
They
them on
have
Amazon
binder
really
clips.
cheaply. They do, but they're way more expensive.
They're way more expensive and they're metal. And I don't really, usually I would go for something more sustainable and long term. However, metal against fabric for a long term, eh,
You know what I've noticed
I
with
think I have some
having
over
my
here too.
things being down below ground level is that my rotary cutter blades, if they've been in for a really long
Mm.
time, start to
Yeah.
get like rust spots on them. And so
Oh,
I would
really?
imagine, yeah, I've
Do you
noticed
have
that.
a sump pump in your basement? Like, is
I
your
do
basement
have a
more of
sump
a
pump
wet?
and I also have a dehumidifier going. Um,
Like, we don't even have a sump because we're on a ravine, which is really weird in Illinois to not have a sump pump running in a basement.
oh, I mean, we
But
had to install ours, but yeah,
like that our basement is like weird in a weird situation with how
you're a
dry it
walkout.
is.
It's a walkout basement, so it's a little easier, I
It's a
think.
walkout basement on a hill over a water like ravine thing that's like for
You
water
probably
drain. I don't
also
know. I
have like
clearly
a
don't speak
poured,
this.
you probably also have a poured foundation where mine is like the old block concrete from the 50s and
But I can imagine
all
that
the
your
things.
basement it has more moisture in it. It would make a big
Yeah.
difference.
I think it's just more humid down here. I can sometimes really tell, depending on the time of year, like
Our
spring,
last house was
I
very
could really
humid.
tell. Yeah. But
Becky says she uses the silver ones too.
yeah,
I
mine
like the
I
silver.
would not fit anything taller. So I would measure the space you're working with before
And
you
they weren't
like go
taller,
buy a
they're
bunch.
wider.
Are they
So
wider?
instead of
Okay.
6.5, they're 7 or something like
Okay.
that.
That makes
And I
sense.
only chose that because it fit better in my shelves that I
Yeah.
chose.
So it's personal preference, really. But
Just buy the same ones every time because
yeah,
otherwise you're getting different sizes and it'll start to be funky. And like she folds hers differently than mine. Like she folds them so that she has the,
a little
you
bit on
know,
the top and bottom so they look like a bolt.
like yeah, she folds hers so that this little part on the top and this little part on the bottom are showing. I wrap mine where I just fold the fabric in half. Let me grab some.
Here, I'll bring my computer over to you. Let me finish the stitch.
I just wrap around normal. Ooh, this is pretty.
Chantel's getting distracted.
Ah, sorry. But look what I found.
Oh, I remember that one. That might
Yeah,
have
I
come up.
know. Oh, the social hour here. So I wrap mine in such a way that it's sitting on fabric and it's sitting on fabric. She
So here's
wraps
mine.
hers so that
Some of
she
them,
has some on top and bottom.
like some of this garment fabric, you really can't. It just doesn't fold quite right to make it work. But all the quilting fabric, I'm able to make it look like it's a little bolt on the shelf. And to me, I like the way that looks. But a lot of it is really just personal preference.
I like to cut
But you can
straight
put so
off my
much on
bolt.
there. I do
And
that too.
when I cut straight off it, I find it's easier when it's just folded in half, which
Yeah,
is
that
how
makes
it is
sense.
on here, without having any other parts folded too. So, and then these are the little clips that,
Yes,
you
little
know,
alligator clips. You can get
yeah.
them on Amazon. It's either 1,000 or like 5,000 to a pack. Either way, I bought it one
Yeah.
time and have never had to but rebuy. And obviously, I have a lot of fabric.
And I did
So,
buy some, I found these ones. I'd have to send you a link for these. But for your really
ooh,
thick bolts,
I could
these are
use that.
great.
Ooh, we have Pauline is on from Scotland. I think that's the first time we've
Ooh,
had
that's fun.
someone from there. Very fun. Land of David Tennant, I believe.
That's Scots. That's
I
all I
send
know.
I
My
send
husband loves
Chantel
Scotland.
um videos of David Tennant and Michael Sheen and saying this is the vibe that her and I need
I know
on
we're
YouTube.
working on our vibe. How are we doing?
Oh,
We're
they're
trying really
hilarious.
hard to, so we like to talk before we get started. And we're like, how do we keep ourselves tame? But how do we start to open up at the same time? Because when we're on a conversation with each other, it like, for
There are
example,
many winding ways.
yes. And for, when she called today, I was like, hey, how are you? She's like, fine. Actually, and then like goes into a sub story about something immediately, like without
Yeah.
question. She's like, she gives you the answer, but then she's like, well, that's not really true. That's just the answer I give everybody else. Here's your answer.
So Chantel and I are the kind of friends where the conversation doesn't really end, it just continues later.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how we are
If
with each other.
if you get back to that subject, there's a
And
million.
we don't always talk during the week because we're busy moms, but we
We do
send each other
communicate.
a plethora of memes. We thought in a future episode we should share all the memes that we send each other throughout the week and reels, but we'll have to a lot of them are not safe for work that I send because I find them hilarious. I know that Chantel will also find them hilarious, but I don't know that you all will find them hilarious.
We're
So
we're afraid that our crowd isn't our crowd. I mean, who doesn't? Sorry, I had to go get a beverage from the bar.
you're all good. But
There we go. Yay.
but I think we counted it up. I sent 17 this week to Chantel.
Yeah. So we
And
don't necessarily communicate. I don't want to say we don't communicate meaningful conversation because that's meaningful.
I
But
send you things that I highly identify with and that I think you will too, or that
and
I
we
think you
I
will find
save them.
hilariously funny.
I actually, and she probably can tell, like, I'll save them for a moment in my day when I'm like not having the best moments. And then I'll like turn them on and just laugh my pants off and then carry on with my day.
Like, for example, one of the things I sent her this week is a picture of a Goodwill find because Chantel loves a
I
quirky
love a
loves a
I love a
quirky
quirky item.
thing that to display in her home. It's her favorite thing.
I
And
like to giggle at anything and everything I possibly can.
this was not my Goodwill find, but it was on the interwebs and
If it was, it would be mine.
it was a statue of a woman's like from her tummy to her thighs and it was a planter and the planter
Guess where
was
the
very
plant was?
strategically placed and I just started dying laughing and I was
It's
like
more of a
Chantel
bush, really.
needs to see this because if she saw this she might just purchase it and put it in
I
her house
might.
somewhere.
And put it somewhere kind of obscure so that maybe somebody would see it, but probably maybe not. I
Yeah.
love I love to put, I mean, like, I'm sure I have quirky things behind me. This is just,
Yes.
like, oops, my goof.
Like that French horn behind her is a working speaker.
It is. So, yeah, you has a little like spot. I love this thing. This thing's really cool. This is when I sew in the middle of the night and I don't want my kids to hear, but I want music. So it's an old valved French horn, but it has like a hole in it so that you can put your phone in there and it will speaker out through this and kind of make this really, I don't know, mellow, full sound to it. I love this thing. Got it at an art
Baby
show.
is referencing your quirky animal bathroom right now.
Oh yes, the animal bathroom. Yeah, the bathroom is famous.
Yes.
I'm actually trying to figure out how I can get a picture of Sasha made into some sort of fancy animal for the fancy animal bathroom.
There are pet portrait websites that do that.
Because I do have Henrietta, who was my Chihuahua, as Michael Jackson in the bathroom.
I was that I didn't realize that was Henrietta.
Well, it's not, but it is. Like
Yeah,
it looks exactly like her. And I've
that's
had that in
funny.
the bathroom for many, many, many years now, like at least 12 years. And
Yes,
sitting across from whoever's going to, you got to put the cheeky art in the bathroom because
you
you get
do.
cheeking in the bathroom.
I feel like the planner would work very well in a bathroom
The
that I
planter would be
discovered.
like the perfect thing in a bathroom.
Right next to like some where you keep the razors.
Yeah,
I think that
right
would
next
be
to the razors.
that's perfect.
I was thinking, what if it was a tissue thing?
That's so wrong. So wrong. Uh,
You know what? These are just ideas that haven't been created yet. You don't know. They could make a lot of money. You
they
just,
might.
they might.
I mean,
Somebody would buy it.
instead of the Bob Ross head, you've got
See, somebody said
lady
there's a
lady
taxidermy down
parts.
the road.
I I don't know about that.
I do. I have a fake jackalope. Well, not that you could have a real jackalope. I mean,
That
jackalopes
I'm
aren't
sure
real.
there are people who believe that there are. So I bet you can convince somebody of that.
It's a mythical animal, but some people don't know that. And John likes to lead them on about our jackalope being this like mythic hunt that we went on to go get. So yeah, if there's something weird, it's in my house.
Okay, I have found the website. It's
Hmm.
called Crown and Paw. I'm gonna link it in the description. You just need like a straight on photo of your pet,
Oh,
and
I
you
was
can.
really thinking you found the planter there for a second.
No, I'm not gonna share the
I
planter.
was like, wait, what?
I'm not gonna buy you. I mean, if I ever found it, I would totally buy it for you. I feel like Chantel needs this. But I've seen this on social media many times, but you can basically put it in there and the picture of your pet in it, and you can be like some like fancy French general or something. Um,
I wonder what Sasha would be. She'd be like a lady in waiting.
I was trying to find, we had a Cocker Spaniel called Einstein because he had white hair that stuck straight up and he always made the goofiest faces. But this was like before you had really good cameras on your cell phone, so we don't have a lot of really great photos
Oh,
of
yeah, I
him.
know what you mean.
And so I'm like, I wish I did because that like
It would be
would be the
perfect.
best gift for Adam because that was like his soul dog
I
was
have a dog
Einstein.
as Einstein in my bathroom as well. I do. And Mr. T
Yeah,
and the Blues Brothers
so
are in my
many.
bathroom. And the
And a
queen
fake
is a chicken holding a corgi,
and a
an
fake
actual
turd.
corgi,
There's
and
a
a fake
fake
turd.
turd. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That was definitely the first time I was in that bathroom. I was looking at I think I've shared this before on here. I'm looking at it and I'm like, "Do one of our dogs go?" And I'm looking at it, I'm like, it's too perfect. And I just like reached a toe out and gave it a little tap, not knowing for sure if I was going to be touching
I don't even
actual
know where
poop
I got that
or
thing.
fact fake poop.
That joke turd has been worth whatever I paid for it and more. It is the funniest thing.
Yeah.
Colleen says, "Bring on the memes. They keep me laughing." I agree, and
Yes.
that's what we need during the week. It's like it's the equivalent of being like, "Hey, you can do it. Keep it up." And she sends me something. It's like, "All right, I can keep going. All's
It's
good.
mostly about
I'm being
like
thought about."
our mental status both being on the verge of insanity
Hmm.
most days and
And a lot of them are about dogs.
lots of dog. I sent you a dog dancing one It was really funny. They had like this. Normally you see like birds dancing to like rap music or whatever. This was like a golden retriever like shaking its whole butt to the music. It was really funny.
I like the one that you're like, I'm just gonna go up to that campfire and, eat that. What's the worst that can happen? And then it's like 10,000 years later, and it's
And
like
it's
a
a husky in a
dog
Halloween
in
costume.
a Halloween costume, like looking ridiculous. And it's like the face on it is just like perfection.
What happened to me? AB wants to know how your Christmas party went.
Oh, the Christmas party was fun. It turned out really good. And oh man, I'm still not done undoing Christmas.
Neither am I. I'm gonna so hear it tomorrow when my mother-in-law comes out, and
Every
I haven't put away a single Christmas decoration, not one,
Not a
Chantel.
single one? Okay, well, I'm
Not
at
one.
least like a good halfway there.
I keep
I'm
trying
a
to
good
talk my
halfway
husband
there.
into it, and then that doesn't happen.
Well, John didn't have this last weekend off, so he's worked something like, I don't know, a good 12 days in a row. And when he's been on call, he's been called in the middle of the night and things like that.
Yeah, I'm sure he
And
doesn't have energy.
it has been ridiculous. And so a lot of the bins are still in storage. So I haven't been like, sweetheart, you got to go get those things
Do you
because I've been
still
trying to
not
be
know
nice.
where your storage container is located? Have you
I
been
know
in it
where
yet?
it is. I don't know what it looks like.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, it's probably for the best because I plan on going in there in about April or, maybe May and being like, wow, I forgot this stuff exists. Now I have to let it go. So that's actually something we were talking about. Me avoiding cleaning the sewing room has caused me to decide to organize other areas of the house, which has actually been much needed. So John and I have moved 10 times since we got married. We lived in 10 different houses. And every time we move, it feels very temporary, but we live here now. Like we've decided,
This is
like we
it.
put in a pool, like this is where we live now. Um, and there's no going on Zillow and getting excited about something else. And
This is it.
yeah, this is it. So
Until we
I
go to the retirement home together
finally
someday.
started going through everything and like being honest. Are
That's
you
the hard
really
part.
going are you really going to use these 37 color books that are half colored from toddlers under the age of 2? No. Is anybody going to want them? No, they're garbage. I have a really hard time throwing things away, like actual things that I feel like I could use the rest of it, but it's really just garbage.
Hmm.
That stuff's like really hard for me to throw away. Like the half
I
used notebooks from school or the school supplies that are like crayons that are like a little broken.
I did the same thing with the kids area not that long ago. And I'm not done. I still have a lot still to do. Although I've discovered we're paying cash for more things now. My children will do a lot of things around the house for $1. Like cold hard cash, it's in mom's wallet. So I got Angela to empty out and organize an entire bin of doll stuff that I didn't want to do the other day.
I feel like I can't ask my kids to like clean out and organize until I've actually made some decisions in my life, though, because I
Yeah.
know that a lot of it is stuff that I'm holding on to because I don't know really know why, but I'm
Because you
holding on
don't
to it
want to let it
because
go.
I think it has the opportunity to be something like all the broken crayons. I saw somebody online turn broken crayons into beautiful art. Am I going to turn broken crayons into beautiful art? Well,
I have a hard
I
time because
could.
I paid money for the stuff. I don't want to toss it, but I did get rid of a lot. Like we had a organizer that was like broken. I was like, okay, I need to clear this out and it needs to go somewhere else because I need to use a space for something else now, and that makes it easier for me. Because like the kids change the way they use things and what they're into, and then the
Yeah.
space that they need needs to change with that.
Everything
And
needs to be like transformable.
exactly. And so like we put a lot of books upstairs because we needed to, I mean, I feel you because in the last couple of weeks we've organized a lot of stuff in the basement for the kids.
Mhm.
I've organized a lot of stuff upstairs. We emptied out two storage units and had to try to find homes for that. Like
Oh yeah, you've
and
been
let go
going
of a
through
lot.
it.
And I
That's the
think
hard
though,
part. It's not just the organizing part. I'm having to let go, and I'm trying to let go of upwards of like half of some of this stuff because
yeah,
it's just become excessive. Like the
yeah,
stuff that you bought because you didn't realize you already had it,
yes,
or the excess school supplies that you rebought because it was easier to just rebuy them than it was to dig through and check every highlighter to make sure it worked.
yeah,
God forbid that I went through the hair supply drawer. Oh, do you have a hair drawer?
multiple.
Yeah.
So yes,
I went through the hair drawer on the main floor. We both have girls. And so
yes.
I have a boy too, but I went through the hair drawer. Holy moly. I probably had five hair ties that were actually worth anything, and the rest of them were just completely falling apart, disgusting. Like,
I'm
uh,
surprised you had them long enough to get to that point because ours just seemed to disappear into thin air at all times.
that's where my socks go. Wherever your hair ties go, my socks are going to.
Somewhere we'll find them all
We got a
hidden under
lot of
something.
comments.
We do. Let's see. Pauline says, our grown-up son stuff and it ends up in your sewing space. Yeah, that is no fun. That needs to get out now. Um, Sarah says it's easier to clean with the kids area than our own craft areas. That's what I
Yes, and
struggle
that's
with.
what I'm doing. I'm
Yes.
doing the kids' craft stuff and not mine.
So I was talking about this with my therapist that it seems hard for me to like work in this space because I feel like my other spaces need me more because it's communal. And if I
Hmm.
don't do it, who's going to? And
Invisibility too. It's like that's
yes,
upstairs. I walk in my house and that one slaps me in the face.
yeah, exactly. And so it's really hard. She's like, you've got to make time for you. You have got to do it. So like she's very much like, you need to just sit and do some things just for you. And she's very on board with my plan to like skedaddle for a couple hours every Sunday
I love
and
that.
just peace out, which I'm not going to get to do this week because birthday party is happening. But,
This is
you
my
know,
skedaddle for the most part.
yeah, like, but like something out of the house because like if you're in the house, someone's going to find you and you're going to be needed and you're going to be mom.
That's true.
And
My
so
problem
that's why
is
I've
like I
been
don't want
trying
to
to
leave the
out.
house.
Well, there's that.
I
You and
haven't
Adam
left the
both.
house since last Saturday.
No wonder you're excited to dress up all for yourself
I really haven't left that. I actually am
and
thinking
the
about that because
entire internet.
I needed gas last Saturday and I wasn't able to get it. And I'm pretty sure that yeah, I never left the house this week.
It's okay.
Wow. Well,
I
guys,
I get a little stir crazy and I have to get out. Like at least once a week I go and work at a coffee shop because I don't want to get myself all the way
you
ready
don't
to
want to be
like,
like me.
well, I don't want to go. I need to be among people, but not like among work people because I'm more
I know what
productive
you
when I'm
mean.
not among my coworkers because everybody likes to gab and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not very
That's what
productive.
coworkers do.
I know, and I'm only in for 20 hours a week. I want that 20 hours to be really productive when I'm working.
That's
And
funny.
I just noticed your sleep, by the way. It's absolutely fabulous.
Thanks.
Is
I
that
loved
voted?
this sweater. No, it's not, but I loved this sweater so much. I got it from Stitch Fix, that I
Yeah.
had it in a large, and when I lost weight, I went back online and I bought it in a small. So I have another one.
So we've had this conversation too because we have a hard time getting rid of clothes
It's a
because you
textile
might need that.
problem.
Yes, it's still a textile problem. And I went so far. Some of it, it makes sense. You want to keep a size up, a size down just in case. Because we fluctuate. But also, like I went through And some of the pieces that I got rid of during like KonMari that I wish I hadn't, I have
Mm-mm.
gone and found those items in like my current
That's
or
this.
sometimes a little bit lower size, like hoping that someday I'll fit into it again. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Stephanie. But I did
Harry's
that
got to
probably for
run
like
by the
three or four pieces. But
Harry's gonna go. So we'll see you later,
see you
Carrie.
later, Carrie.
I'm waving at
We're waving you
the
goodbye.
I'm waving at the computer that has your thing on it instead of you. Like, bye. So
Chantel's
nerd.
doing a two screen situation. We have
I
some more comments. Let's see. AB says she just got new living room furniture. So at least the living room got cleaned and decluttered. That is always a good thing.
oh, that's
And you got
lovely.
new flooring in the whole house. Oh
Woo!
my gosh, that would be hard. It's all landing in my basement. Oh my gosh. I got so mad at Adam and he got so mad at me for getting mad at him. We had, this is like so husband and wife
That
BS.
is.
We had cleaned out our storage unit and we put a bunch of stuff in the garage just 'cause. And part of my problem is I have a very small closet and one dresser, and it's just not enough room for all my clothes.
And we care a
And
lot about our fashion and our,
yes, we do.
things like that. We got it. It's part of the identity.
So I had some bins that had been in my bedroom of stuff that just needed to get put away or found a new home or something like that. And it got put out in the garage. And then, but I like always meant to get back to it, but I didn't really see it as like we need to do it now because it's so cold. Why would you want to spend time in an unheated garage? And I came home and he had cleared it all out and just dumped it in the basement in our new storage area that we created that was supposed to be easily accessible and walkable. And now you can't do any of that. All this crap is just in the middle of it.
Oh,
So I was
Lord.
really pissed because it's like this was really neat. And now it's just a hot mess because instead of dealing with the problem, you just moved it from one area to another. And granted, he can't deal with it. It's my crap. But
Well,
it's
and
just
to
like,
add that the garage is technically the man cave now.
I know. But it's just like, I was so annoyed. And then he was annoyed that I was annoyed.
It's
And
like that
it
time
didn't work
when
out well.
John and I were moving and I had him pack up the basement toys and he thought it would be a good idea to everything was like in bins and labeled and organized according to what it is in each bin, but he thought it'd be much more efficient to
To
pour
just dump it.
everything into one box and
Oh
then
my
stack the
God.
bins because they could fit better. So he took 10 bins of individually like organized toys. Like
I would be so mad.
this one was puzzles and pieces, and this one was little people, and this
And
one
then you
was
have to redo all
cars.
that work
And he
later.
poured all of them into a single box and then took all the bins and stacked them, and they fit all in one box. Except that that meant that I had 10, at least 10 different like
Bins to
subjects
reorganize. Yeah.
of items to pick apart. It took me like 8 months to get to that
Yeah.
box. And the kids didn't have their toys. And because they were already organized. And then he poured them all out because it was going to make more sense for him.
My goodness. Good night, Pauline. It sounds like it's very late there. Let's
Oh,
see.
well, come back and hear the rest. We'll be here next week. We
Let's
always
see.
are.
She said she needs storage at her house, but there's none. They're teeny tiny. My house is pretty teeny. Chantel's got a lot of space. I have about 1,000. Well, it's probably 1,500 square feet now that we have the finished basement.
Well, if you have the space, you will fill it. It's like a law.
Yes, for sure.
I'm no scientist, but maybe I should be because I'm pretty sure that if you have the space, you will fill it. It's
This
like
is
air.
accurate. But yeah, I felt very like normalized when I was at your house. I was like, oh, other people have these problems too.
It's true though. I mean, like I think that every parent's bedroom has like a certain amount of like laundry baskets that are in queue of how long you don't know. It has pillows and linens that may or may not be clean. It has books, piles of books that may or may not be read, maybe from a library, maybe not. Um, and then it has the stack of pillows for the parents who are trying not to snore enough to like murder each other. So, you have those stacks of pillows. You have the
So
dresser drawers that your husband never shuts.
why do they not shut or cabinet drawers too?
No, they can't shut the cabinets, God forbid. And if they do, it's
Or it's like mostly shut, but not all the way because you had to push the clothes down
yeah,
just a
this
little
one,
bit in order to get it all the way. Oh my God, yes. This is like a universal thing.
I
But
don't know. I don't make
maybe
the
we can
rules,
quote
but I'll
him
tell you
later.
right now, they all do it.
Well, and I'm no saint either. I had a bunch of clothes just hanging on my dresser, like a lot of clothes just hanging on my dresser rather than put them
They don't
away.
fit in the closet.
Well, it's not so much that, it was that there's too much other crap in front of the closet. And so
I feel that too.
so yesterday I finally dealt with all that and I got
Oh,
everything
you
put away.
did.
It was very nice looking. It was part of getting my outfit out for today's meeting. I was like, okay, I'm just
I was
gonna put
gonna
everything
say,
else away that needs to get put away, and then it'll actually look somewhat decent in here for when we have people over. And then he comes in and he complains that I've taken all the I have a bag problem. We're just going to admit that right now. My name is Stephanie and
I
I have a bag addiction. And I've made some of them, and then others are vintage things that I found or things that I just like and have purchased over the years. But I have them all, and
I
it
have them
fills up.
all.
It fills up an entire shelf in my coat closet in the hallway, and then also the two higher shelves
Oh, but
in
they're
my
good.
bedroom, which, by the way, I'm so short I can't reach. So it's not like it's really useful for me to have everyday clothes up there anyway. It's better for like a thing that I'm going to get every once in a while. But he chooses to like complain about this. And I'm like, you've got to stop being such a negative Nancy about this. Like, I picked up this stuff. Let's praise that and not bitch about my t-shirts need a
I
place to
know,
go.
right?
Oh goodness. But Becky
Oh
B says
man.
garage sale.
Oh, see, I'm
I
garage
am a
sales.
I'll do a Facebook marketplace and let go of stuff piecemeal. But I tend to do like big, like we've got a Once Upon a Child. So when the kids are done with stuff,
We
I'll take
don't.
things there and then whatever's left goes to Goodwill or sometimes I'll give it to Chantel if it's
It's
something
true. I
particularly
like the
nice that they
leftovers.
don't
They're
want.
good. Some of Penny's favorite things were Lily's.
Yeah,
She likes the
but
pretty dresses.
of course she does.
She wants
I've
to
got
wear them
another
every
one.
day.
I've got another white one that she can have. They didn't
Ooh.
want it because it has blue on the cuff, but I'm sure it'll wash out. But
Oh, well, Penny uses it to eat macaroni and cheese. So,
oh,
although
this
she's
is
a very
fancy,
tidy
fancy.
child.
This was a an Easter dress a
Ooh,
couple years
pretty.
ago. But
Occasionally we go somewhere nice. Like we are still a part of a country club that we don't live next to anymore, but we get like a severely reduced rate because we don't live close enough to it. But my in-laws live in that neighborhood still. So it works out great. And we do like holidays and things like that there.
mhm.
And so occasionally I do have to put the kids in real clothes and it's always a panic moment because I'm like, what do I have that isn't like, you know, Grand
So
Animals or whatever from Walmart?
do you try to get everything coordinated so you can get like two
Oh,
nice family photos a year?
no,
I try to do
no.
that.
You know when we're coordinated? Like once for Halloween.
Halloween. That's what I love to do. I like to get everybody's outfits all coordinated so we can have like one or two nice photos a year at Easter and Christmas. Like
I
that's
f- just feel
what
like
I like
that
to do.
that's just so stressful for me. I want to. I want to do what you've done.
Yeah.
But um yeah. Can I do what you no.
This is why I only
Actually,
do it twice a year. And it is, they know it. It is expected that mom is going to be really difficult about it and that nobody has a choice in what they're going to wear. They just have to do it.
gotta suck
And
it up,
I
Buttercup.
think I think this is my profile picture is the last time we did this was a couple of
It
Easters
is.
ago. Let me pull it up.
I know
And
exactly which
Adam,
one.
he always is like resists and then he goes for it and then he realizes he looks really good in whatever it is that I picked for him. So he is
Such a
wearing
husband mood.
So this is actually the dress that's coming to you.
Oh, it's perfect.
It's like a little like jacket over a dress with tulle, and then Angela's got a similar color, and then I've got, my animal print, but we're all kind of in the cream and brown family. And then I
Right.
got these plaid like like
Oh, it's going down.
light gray and brown and a little bit of orange pants for Adam. And then I got him this orange sweater because he's a Lion fan. I figured he'll actually maybe wear that again.
Maybe.
And and
Did
then he
he?
has his hat on. Yeah, he wears it pretty frequently. And so everyone's joking with him, like, oh, you look like you're ready to go tee off. But he looked really good. And he just, he's like, yeah, yeah. I'm like, I'm glad you picked that for me. But he's just so difficult about it. Like, and then he acquiesces because he knows that I'm just going to be
He
crazy
knows that you're
about it.
right.
Yeah, he knows I'm right, and he knows I'm going to be crazy about it, like a couple times a
Anyways,
year. And once I
once a
get my
year,
picture,
twice a
once I get
year.
my
Yeah.
picture, we're good. So
Trying to make sure I have all my squares the right way. Chain piecing.
let's see. Jan says one photographer had the same color shirt and maybe slacks and skirts in the same color. It looks really good in the photos. Yeah, it does. I like to be like,
I like to have a color,
I kind of look
but I
at it.
live for a color.
I look at it like I'm putting fabrics together for a quilt, is how I've always looked at it. Where I want it to be in the same color family and play nice together, but I don't want it to be the exact same
You
as
don't want it
everybody
to be
else.
matchy matchy like a
Yeah,
dresser set with a bed kind of
yeah,
thing, where it's all the same. Yeah, I know what you
yeah.
mean.
That's what I like to do.
Yeah,
And I've
yeah.
done that since like our very first family portrait with Angela. And I found that, and I was going through some of my things from the storage unit that came from my grandma. And I found out that I've in fact got skinny after I had a child. And I was like, I didn't think I had done that. I thought
Didn't think I'd done that. I
I thought
didn't
that
know
it
I
was
did
I
that.
had the baby and stayed big. I didn't realize that I was skinny again for a brief amount of time afterwards.
We're so bad to ourselves.
We are bad to ourselves
Oh man.
as I drink empty calories tonight.
It's only 100 empty calories. I know because I'm drinking one too.
I had a very protein-rich breakfast and lunch, so I was good today.
I
I
got
had a
myself a
salad.
Chipotle burrito ordered to myself because I cleaned the kitchen. And man, it was at the point where like there are countertops, lots of countertops.
Yes, you have a
It's
lot
like,
of
could you
countertops.
find one? No, no, there was not a countertop to be found in that kitchen when I started. It was covered with vitamins and school papers and dirty dishes and, whatever else lands on kitchen countertops.
That is how my dining room table is at the moment.
Yeah, it was like the dining room table, which is also in a state of Legos and other things. But
I have to clean. Well, I have to run children around all day tomorrow, and then I need to clean
oof.
for in-laws to arrive. And I
Sometimes,
have to
though,
and I have to make a giant cake that is frozen themed.
oh,
But I ordered these
maybe you
like
should let it go.
edible rice paper snowflakes that I
Ooh,
can put on the fondant to make it look like Elsa, like made it snow on the side of the cake. It'll be really fun. I'm very excited. I did not realize I got them on Etsy that it came all the way from England.
oh, wow. And you still got it in enough time.
I did get it enough time. I
I
have
almost
learned
came
my
up with an
lesson.
accent for saying that.
I've learned my lesson about making sure to order stuff early. I also like to go on Etsy and order cake toppers because you can get custom ones. It's Elsa and Anna and Olaf, and it has Lily's age and name on it, and
Well, that's fun.
really cute. Because then you show up at the party and everyone's like, "Where did you get the cake from?" And it's like, "Oh, I made it." It's like the same feeling as if
Oh,
you're like
man.
wearing a garment and people are like, "Where did you do it?" And you're like, "I made this."
I
Like
did that.
it's the same feeling.
I
It's
did
very
that.
exciting. I'll have to share pictures next week of how it turns out.
Well, and then what about you?
I don't make my own desserts. I had to make a
Nobody's making
giant
them for
cake.
you.
Well, Angela made cookies by herself, except for the oven part at Christmas. She was very proud of herself,
That's
but
pretty good.
it was pretty good. But I've got to make a giant cake and then I have to make cupcakes for the class. So I'll be baked out by that point.
You're like, I want to roast by then.
Yes. I know. I'm My in-laws are bringing out a quarter cow, so maybe I'll have make myself a chuck roast. How about that?
Ooh, bring some of that cow this way.
I know, right? I'm
John
not
will
sure
make
what
you a
all's gonna be in
brisket.
it. I will happily provide the meat if he will cook it. He does good.
He does pretty good with his midlife crisis meat. Oh,
We
wait.
thought this is another meme that I sent Chantel. It was like when men reach midlife, they either need to get really into World War II history or grilling meat. And Chantel's husband picked meat. And
He picked
so
meat.
that's what he's
Or
into.
exotic cars. But we're neither here nor there for exotic cars, so we're not there yet.
I feel like, I don't know. I feel like the millennial midlife crisis is different than the previous generation.
Absolutely. It either goes nerdy or meaty.
Yes.
Both are great. Good options.
So
But
if anybody is still on here, speaking of my children, my daughter has relaunched her YouTube channel, which she started when she was 5 during the pandemic, and I had to do all
which
the
is
editing.
adorable.
But now, yeah, you can see little 5-year-old Angela if you go back far enough. There's not that many videos, but she started doing her own Roblox videos and she films them all herself and she's editing them all herself and she's putting them up herself. And she still has like process questions for me. Like she does not still consistently remember that when she downloads something from the internet that it goes to the downloads folder and not the folder she's created for the project, which I find sweet. But but she's doing really good. Like I showed her how to use ChatGPT to come up with her video descriptions and stuff. And she's actually getting traction. So she's trying to get to 100 subscribers. So I'm going to throw her link in there. So if you guys want to give her a follow or send it to your grandkids, if she gets to 1,000, she can do ads. So she's very excited and she's
Oh,
planning
that's really
out.
cute.
She's we talk, we go back and forth on like in a couple years if we're going to move or add on to our house. And if we add on to the house, then she'll get the bedroom that we have now. And so we were in there tonight, and she was like planning out where her studio space is going to be in there someday. And she takes over the room.
That's cute.
And my husband's just dying laughing because she's basically a carbon copy of me and how I do
She's
that all
already
the
got a
time.
plan. Like it's
She
all.
does. She's got a 3-year plan, and
Does she have
it's
a
so
garden
funny.
plan like you do? It's basically her little garden plan.
I may have gotten inebriated one day and made a 6-year garden and home improvement plan and
It was
sketched
really
it all
cute.
out.
It was just
And
like like you're talking about Angela, and I'm like, it really was. It was just like, look at this. What do you think of it? Because my background's still design and all of this stuff. Like, do you think that layout with the doors and everything? And I'm like, when did you do this?
in the middle of the night,
In the middle of the night.
my husband, when he saw that, he sees me like getting really hyper focused into this, and he goes, "So this is what we're doing tonight, huh?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, it is."
Yes, this is what it is. It
So
is
then
what
he
it is,
knows
sweetheart. Get on
he's
board.
he knows he's got no chance. He's not getting anything fun for
Nothing
him.
fun's happening unless he plays along.
Yep. We're just going to talk about how I want to have a greenhouse and a giant patio and an apple orchard and uh not
Which
really an
is
apple orchard. I would have space for 3 apple trees and I want the kind of apples that my family uses to make apple pie. So I want those 3 varieties of
it
trees
was
and then I
all drawn out.
it
It was
was very drawn
labeled.
out.
It was very clear exactly what she wanted.
Down
Um,
to what vegetables I was going to have in the various garden beds, which I want to have connected with trellises to you can grow vertical crops. And I'm like, oh Lord, Stephanie,
there were sketches. It was a
I may
thing.
need to clone myself before
You
this
do.
becomes a reality, so I have time to actually do all the things that I want to do in there. Because
Great
current
idea,
Stephanie does not have time
right?
to take care of all of that.
I barely have enough time to do the things that I'm supposed to be doing, never mind organizing my cabinets, but
I know. Current Stephanie like gets really excited about gardening when we're starting seeds and then kills it all by about June. That's pretty much how I go.
it's all right. I need you to come up with some ideas for um my food
Yours.
garden.
Ooh, I'm good with that.
You know that little area that it
What
still
happened to
has
your
dead
volunteer
cucumbers.
cucumbers?
They're still volunteering.
Yeah.
They're
I
I have
mean, not right
cucumbers
now.
like they're like hang no, I have like dead cucumbers literally just hanging off of my patio. They're
The
still there.
last the last 2 years I have planted potatoes and then not harvested them. And what I did not realize is that whatever survives the winter will like
Hmm.
regrow itself the next year. So I'm just not going to do anything this year. I'm just going to let the potatoes grow and I'll actually harvest them this time.
Give it a shot.
We'll give it a shot.
See what we
I know
get.
where they're at. We'll see where it all comes up. It'll be okay.
Well, I'd like to try some of your canning methods, and I know that maybe it's not going to be my
You
garden items that get canned.
Yeah, you're not going to grow enough for your garden items to probably can. You'll probably eat whatever you get. But um, yeah, we've
And
talked
then
about this
again, I
before.
have people that make enough for me to be able to can meals from it
There you
because we
go.
have a family farm and things like that. Like we have, and my in-laws make a lot of produce and things like that. So I have people who make enough food that I
Yeah.
could probably can from it and at least learn. But the dirt in the nails, even with the gloves, it's just the possibility of like snakes within 20 feet of me.
I have not seen a snake. I did accidentally maim a toad last year when I was
Ooh,
clearing out the garden, and they were like burrowed in the leaves and stuff, and I felt pretty bad for him.
I
But
found a toad in my shower once.
what?
And
Like, I'm
yeah,
assuming a
in
real
Missouri.
one. Oh, in
Oh
Missouri,
yeah.
not in the fancy animal bathroom.
No, not here. Yeah, because we'd have to burn down the bathroom. No. Because yeah, it was on the second floor though. That was the weird
That's
part.
odd.
Yeah, and scared the life out of me. But yeah, that's a side note that we didn't need to go on. But yeah, you mentioned toad, and now
Yeah,
all I can think of is that toad that was
in your shower.
in my shower.
Stephanie
Whoa,
says
that
she's
was scary.
thinking about her garden and wants to do some raised beds. You got a big yard. You wouldn't need to do raised beds. You could just
But raised beds,
till it
what are
up.
the benefits of raised beds? Aren't there like quite a few benefits of having them in their own
So you
thing?
can control, it's more expensive because you have to fill it the first time around, and it's constantly
Hmm.
going to be like losing and depreciating soil. But you can a lot easier control the soil content. So like where we're at, there's a lot of clay in the soil, which isn't
We have
always
a
the
lot of clay
best
too. We have a very
for
similar
growing different
soil
things.
though, being that
Yeah.
we're both on river beds essentially.
And like some like blueberries, they grow really well in in acidic soil. And so you
Hmm.
have to do a lot of stuff to it in order for it to grow the way it should grow to its best potential. And it's not just a one-time thing. You have to continually do it throughout the season and every year over year in order for it to
Okay.
continue to do what you want it to do. So that is a benefit of it. Excuse me, I've got the hiccups. But honestly, I want to do it because it looks pretty.
Yeah, I was
I
gonna say,
have
isn't there
this,
like the aesthetic benefit of that?
yeah, I have this vision of there being like
Trellises
a,
and pretty
well,
stuff.
yeah, well, yeah, like, I mean, not like a fancy trellis. Like, I want to get a cattle panel that goes from one to the other and then like
Still
grow.
still looks cute.
Yeah, and then I just want to grow like, tomatoes because the San Marzano tomatoes that I like for sauce, they need something to climb up. And so then you can just kind of go under there and grab it. You grow beans on it. And, it looks cool. And, um, we could put like some gravel in between so that way you're like not dealing with grass in there that you got to mow and get into and, have fertilizer near your, um,
Now,
you know,
what is your opinion on mulching a
products.
garden?
Um,
Of
it makes it a lot easier to not have to weed, that's for sure.
Yeah, that my father-in-law is like very big on mulching and but he had this, I don't know, this idea to use like plain cardboard. Apparently you can,
Some people do that.
I don't know. I don't understand gardens so much. I have a
People use
plant
all
that's
kinds of
dying right
stuff.
now, so I feel like people should
Is it
mourn
the
with
one that
me.
you put in your back room that has no natural light?
No, those are thriving.
Ah,
It's the one in the bathroom that actually does have natural light. It's dying.
that's funny.
The ones in the back room, when it is winter and they are back there for whatever reason,
Maybe they just like go
they
dormant on their own or
they
something.
do. And then we take them outside and they bloom like crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know why it works, but it works. So we just,
So Stephanie B is commenting. Stephanie B
oh, easier on your
has
back.
um she grew up really gardening. Like her parents have not just like canning, like it's a canning room. I've heard her dad talk about it before. Um, but she likes raised beds. Yeah, easier on her back, but mulch does help with water retention as well, which is a really big deal. Once you get to those summer months when it's, really,
Brutal.
really hot, because you want it to be in full sun, but you also don't want to have like the giant water bill. Although what I've been doing the first year I would take the sprinkler and take it everywhere around and water. And that's a pain because like every 15 minutes or so you're moving the sprinkler to a different area and adjusting or whatever. So after that first year, I went and I started buying soaker hoses and you can
Hmm.
use
We
the
have one in the
landscaping.
front of our house.
Yeah, you take landscaping stakes, you just put it in where it belongs, you cover it a little bit with mulch, and then you just run it right along where the root system is going to be. And then it's a lot better for the plant because you're not having the overhead water, so it's less
Hmm.
likely to develop disease. And you also end up using less water
Why
because
is it
it's
less likely
going,
to have disease? Sorry, I don't speak
apparently,
plant.
when it waters from above, sometimes you can get mildew issues. Like on the leaves and things, and then you end up with
Okay.
disease. Whereas if it's just hitting the root bed, and for whatever reason, it's not as big of an issue with actual root
Okay.
water, it's
All
just
right. I
whatever.
can visualize that. I had to like take that in for a second. But
Yeah.
yes, I can visualize why that would be. You want it to soak in where the roots are and not necessarily where the leaves are because all that extra wet leaf could develop a
Be a
mildew
problem.
issue.
Especially like, people say water in the morning, but who has time for that if you work? And so a lot of times I would do my watering in the evening, and then I would sometimes have issues.
Well, I bet you
But
a lot of the people here cross over too for um there's a huge community of quilters that cross over to gardening in summer.
oh, I know because I see the sales when when it's summertime, everybody's outside doing other stuff.
And
But
so, yeah, I'm curious how many of you are gardeners and how many of you are year-round quilters. I mean, you can still be a year-round quilter,
you
but
can.
um,
Becky says she uses a water trough from Farm and Fleet for the raised beds and mulch after planting. That sounds like a good idea.
uses a water trough from home. I had to
Yeah,
think through this one too. Yeah, I
like
just
the
don't
big
understand plants.
galvanized steel ones.
Oh, yeah. I've seen people use those as hot tubs.
For some reason, Facebook thinks I need a cold plunge,
Yeah,
and I'm like, no, I'm good, thanks.
I have a funny story about a cold plunge actually. Last year, almost exactly to the year, I went to Antarctica. And we went on a cruise ship. So we got to Buenos Aires. We flew down to Ushuaia, which is the southernmost tip of the continent of South America before you get on a boat to go to Antarctica. And I'm on this boat to Antarctica. We're finally down in Antarctica enjoying it. And I go to get a massage one of the days while we're there.
Oh, I've heard this story.
And yeah, it's a good one. And so at this point, we know everyone pretty well. We have 80 people, like travelers on this trip. and twice as many staff. So they knew who we are and we know each other pretty well because we've already been on this boat for at least 5 days together, doing everything together. And so I go in, I get this massage, and it's wonderful. And they're like, "You're really tense. Let's get you in the sauna and see if we can get you to loosen up." So I go in the sauna, and I am like boiling hot, boiling. And they notice that I am like pitch red. So, like, okay, you go out, you go to pool, you get in hot tub, take quick dip, get out, come back in. Okay, except I'm in my granny panties, my lovely tan granny panties, okay? And no top. I have a towel. It is maybe 25 degrees outside.
And
It is
hadn't they closed the
evening.
deck because it was so wavy?
They had closed the deck. It is so windy. The pool hasn't been open. I don't know why we have a pool actually at all for this. And so, um, and we are sailing. We are not docked. And Antarctica is not clear water at all. So I go out there and I'm fighting the swish and the swash of like the thing. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do what they told me to. Nobody's out here. I take a look because the smokers like to hang out up there. Nobody's out there because it's that rough. And so I go out to the hot tub and I go to drop my towel to take a dip and we hit a wave. And I swear half of that swimming pool of ice cold water just bitch slaps me right into the hot tub. I mean, I get careened into that hot tub. There is nothing about that hot tub that was hot. That is all ice water from that pool
Oh
that
my gosh.
I am topless in my granny panties, just whipped into
Oh my
this
gosh.
this hot tub. And I'm like, God, this is awful. And so I get out and I get my towel and I go to the door and they see me and I must look like a soaking wet chihuahua that just went outside to go potty, you know? And they're like, oh no, what happened? And I'm like, I did what you said. There was a wave, and they're like, it's okay. No one see, only cameras for staff.
So the all 160
Only
staff.
cameras for staff.
Oh, Chantel.
So, not like 5 minutes later, a gentleman with the full like outfit comes down, opens the door. I get back out of the sauna at this point because I had to go back in to warm myself back up from getting slapped into a hot tub
That was
that was
not
not
hot.
very hot. And the guy sees me and like diverts eye contact like this. Like,
Oh, you got spotted.
oh, I so got
I
I
bet
am
you they might still be telling
legendary.
this story too.
I am legendary on that cruise. Hence the girl that they're like, these are this is the reason why we do not use the pool and the hot tub while we are traveling in rough waters. I yeah, I am probably on that like video that's like, this is why we don't do this.
So I was had a good read to recommend to listen to an audiobook while you are quilting, and it has cruising in common with this story, which
I
is
was
why we're
gonna say,
segueing
at
here.
what point did
Yes.
they get bitch slapped into a ice tub pool of water? Because
I
I'd
mean,
love to know
so it's
in their
about the
granny
Lusitania
panties.
it's about the Lusitania sinking. So and they all end
Ooh, you
up
did send me
getting
this.
in there. Yes, I sent it to Chantel, and I like a good mystery with a little bit of will they,
Love
won't
it.
they action between the characters. And what drew me to it is about the Lusitania sinking. And one of the stops that Chantel and I stopped at was Cove, Ireland, which is where it went down. And
Felt like cork, but
yes, and it's so I was like, oh, I'll give this a listen. It'll be cool. It's called The Glass Ocean. And it's really up my alley because it was told in two different timelines. And so the characters are intertwined and we have to figure out how over the course of the story. And not is there one or two, but three will they, won't they situations in this book over the two different timelines. And it's nice because it gives you just enough to not be like gratuitous, but
Hmm.
also be very satisfying when you get to the spicy scenes. I wouldn't say they're spicy. It's like a mild salsa,
We're,
and it
Taco
works out
Bell
really
has
well.
mild, hot, and fire, and we're just talking hot here.
Yeah, I would say mild. I would
Ooh,
say mild. Like I wouldn't listen to it with the girls
it's no
because
verde.
but yeah, it's not anything like that. But I really liked it. It was really good, and it was a good sort of imagining of what might have happened in those final days on the ship and why it might have sank. And I doubt it's that much based in history as to why it sank, because I think probably everybody's made up as to the
Maybe, who
characters and stuff.
knows?
But I
Does it
liked it.
say in the forward or anything like that?
They don't really give that in Audible, but the performance was good. And it was like good enough to where like one night I stayed up for an extra hour and a half till like 1 in the morning
Ooh, all
to finish it. So,
right. Well, that
because I
might be.
needed to know, I needed to know like what was happening, because there were still like two characters that were like unresolved, or like two of the will they won't they situations. And it's like they did a really good job. It's actually, I think, three people who authored it together of like putting little tidbits in there to where like you
Hmm.
get a little detail and you're like, oh, that's that person or that's how that connects. And so if you like listen carefully, you have quite a few of those satisfying moments throughout, which I always very much enjoy. I'm pretty good at predicting where things are going because I've read so much and was an English major, and I love it when they have those little Easter eggs sprinkled throughout.
We made it this far without talking about American Girl, so I'm totally
We
going to
have.
broach the subject. I've been reading the American Girl books.
Yes.
Have you read them since you were a child?
I
Have you?
started to read Rebecca to Lily, but then we stopped because she kind
They're
of lost a little
actually
bit of
like
interest.
quite entertaining, like enjoyable.
Are
I've
they
been
as
enjoying.
depressing as people like make them out to be?
No,
Like when they
not at
joke about it?
all. Like I'm reading Kirsten right now, which is
Yeah.
supposed to be the most depressing of all. No, not at all. It's
I
like,
need to like collect those. I want the keepsake collection,
do you have
like
like a book
collector's
nook
version.
or a place like that that has secondhand used books that they resell for people?
They do, but I want like
I
that
found them
kind of
there.
thing they won't have probably. But
Ours does. So I'll
I
keep an
want the
eye out for you.
one that has the actual
Comes the
box with
box. Yes, I
the
know they have
tie.
them. Hmm.
And it kills me because I know I had like the Samantha set when I was little, and I don't know what happened to that. I have two Josefina books, but the Samantha's, who knows what happened to those guys.
I have so many of them, but that's because I hit up a garage sale and things like that, and I ended up
Yeah.
getting them all. But they've actually been really entertaining, and you can read one in a night or 2 nights, whatever it is. Like when your kids are reading their nightly homework,
Yeah.
you can get through them. They're actually quite entertaining. I
So
mean,
you're
just
reading
talking
them
about.
for you and not to
I'm
your
reading them for
children.
me. No, not to my children. I'm reading them for me.
I love it.
Why not, right? And there's like
Stephanie
really not
says
a
we
lot
would
of plot line.
Stephanie says we would like Brandon Sanderson. I really need glasses. That is really hard for me to read. I'm going to the eye doctor
You
on
need some big peepers like mine.
I'm my goodness. Like I have not really worn my glasses since I got back from the cruise because I scratched them to holy hell while I was there. And it's like easier to see without than with, but sometimes like at the end of the night or like if I've been editing for a while, I look at it and I'm like, what is that? Like is that an
What is
E or
there
an
say?
O? Like
Yeah, that's not
I
a good
need the
sign.
magnifier. Is not a
I
good
wonder
sign.
if anybody here is going on your next cruise. It's supposed to be
I don't
beautiful.
know. Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
really
think you'll
excited
get
about it.
thrown into a hot tub of not
No,
hotness
we're
on a
stay
cruise
pretty
like
close to
that.
shore the whole time, so it's not
It's
supposed to be
not
rough.
like going to Antarctica. You're gonna not feel a thing.
The only day we're in open water, we spend a whole day cruising Hubbard Glacier, and we're gonna have half that day where you can like do whatever sightseeing with your family, and
Hmm.
then the other half for like 3 hours we're gonna be in the conference room, but we'll have views of like
Oh,
what
that'll be
we're
lovely.
going around, so it's not like you're gonna miss it. And so it should be
Is
it
it
should
like
be
our
really
last
exciting.
boat where you eat lunch like on the main, like up top so you can really see everything? And
Probably, I don't know for sure. I haven't like, you know me, I haven't looked at this map of the
yeah,
boat.
that's what you need me for.
I probably could get on my app right now and look at the whole ship if I wanted to, but the kids are very excited about it. I've been told I have to try the salmon. There's
You're not a
we're
fish person.
I'm not. My first memory is of my grandpa cleaning a fish while it was still alive, and that ruined seafood for me. But
I would ruin
we're
seafood for most people.
we are doing a kind of a cool excursion in Juneau. So we get to go do some sightseeing at like a national park. And then we're doing going to the a museum, the Alaska State Museum, and we might get to do a private textile tour, but even if we can't, there is going to be a local fiber artist will have one work on display while we're there.
Oh, very
And
cool.
then we have a salmon bake, and I've been told I have to eat some and give it a try. And then we're going
Which
to
one, Ray or John told you that?
uh actually her name is Stephanie, the person who's supplying the machines. And so
Nice.
she runs Castle Sewing up in Vancouver. So she's coming
Okay.
on as the tech and then is also going to provide machines through her business.
How do I
And
become a machine tech for the next trip?
I think you have to take a course.
Dang it.
I know, right? But so it's gonna be a fun time, I think. And then we get to see a quilt shop on the way out, and that's like right on the dock, so you can spend as much time as you want because we're there till like 9 o'clock in port that day.
It's gonna be so
But
good.
yeah, it should be fun.
Sorry, I'm getting you all resituated so I can iron
I
now because we're
recognize
at
that
this point.
quilt.
Oh yes. You never get done.
It looks done.
It's done, but it's not done. You know what I
The
mean? Like I
top
said,
is the
quilted.
top is completed. Mine is in the same state, so don't feel too
Did you
bad
have
about
any
it.
luck getting a hold of what's his face for the
I did
machine?
not. I tried again.
All right. Okay.
I would do is just call their Davenport store and you'll get somebody
Maybe
to
he
answer
changed
you.
his number. Who knows?
It's possible. I doubt it.
It's possible.
I think he's just ignoring me.
Well, what's the big plan for the week? What do you have for projects?
I absolutely have to finish something for Northcott. I'm gonna be in deep trouble. I'm already in deep trouble. I've been in deep trouble with this one.
Fair.
Um, the biggest challenge is that I want to film it and I only have one panel, so I have to film me cutting it apart.
Oh,
And I have not had a chance to do that. I was gonna film that first, but then I got a contract from Skillshare to do some
I love
sponsored
Skillshare.
videos. I know, I'm pretty excited about it. I'm going to take an amigurumi
So yeah,
course.
explain what Skillshare is so that
So Skillshare is an online learning resource. They have tons of courses. Bernadette Banner, who's one of my favorite YouTubers who does historical dress, she's got a couple of hand sewing courses, like all you need to know to get started, kind of a thing. Um,
but it's a whole bunch
there's
of different type of skills
so
you
many
can learn.
things, like everything quilting, sewing,
Starting
crafting
YouTube,
related. Yeah, how
doing
to start a
Procreate,
YouTube, using
trying to
ChatGPT for
understand
things. Yeah,
Photoshop,
how to do
like
lighting better for YouTube, like all that kind of stuff. And
hand
so,
lettering, whatever
yeah,
it is you want to learn, you can learn it there.
And for with one membership, you get access to all the courses. And so it's and then the deal, if you go to my most recent release, which was about my 2025 crafting goals, there is a link in there where you can get your first month free for Skillshare. So you can try it out, and if you like it, keep it, and if not, then cool. Just peace out. It's all good.
There was a
And
really
don't,
cool class I took about learning how to use
yeah.
GPT, whatever it is. That class was
Hmm.
hands down worth the membership in general. I use that
Yeah.
site a lot.
I was showing someone how to do that today, and their mind was just like blown. Angela's using it for like all of her video descriptions and stuff. So if we can get a 10-year-old to do it, you two can
You can do
figure
it
it out,
too.
I promise. But but so I signed the contract like last Sunday, and then I had told them my first availability was February, but the contracted date, I had to turn it in by like Thursday.
Hmm.
So I'm like, well, shoot. I better hurry up and get something that I can edit and shoot in one day. And doing a whole quilt tutorial, that's not it, because then you have to finish the quilt and like,
Right.
photograph it and all that. So I'm like, okay, well, that has to go back burner.
So wait, what is
And
your
then
first tutorial?
um well, a quilt tutorial you can't do that in like a day, because
No.
once you finish shooting it, it takes the day or the afternoon at least to edit. But I've got to the pattern is finalized mostly. I just need to get it double checked. And then I have to shoot the video tutorial, and I have to cut the panel on the tutorial because it's kind of critical to the success
Hmm.
of the pattern, the way you cut it.
Oh man.
So I mean, it's not like you're going to ruin anything, but I want to make
Right,
sure I
but
do
it's
that
still
part on
it's a
camera.
lot. So that is
So
your week,
I
basically,
literally have
or two
everything ready
weeks.
to go except for cutting the panel. All the rest of my rows are all put together. So once I get that done, it's going to go pretty quick. But, you still have to do that, and then you have to finish piecing your top, and then you got to quilt it and bind it and photograph it and edit the video. And I was like, I can't do that and meet the Skillshare deadline. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
So,
But for the
but it's
Skillshare, what are you doing?
I'm going to do an amigurumi course to start with. That's the crocheted stuffed animals that I
Oh
have bought
yeah,
many a kit for and don't know how to
we saw him
do.
last week.
We did see them last week, and if you watched the video, you saw them again. There's an astronaut somewhere too in one of these doom bins underneath my long arm. So that
Doom
wasn't quite
bins.
all of them. I have at least three that need to just be handled. But yeah, we were talking about this earlier. So I think what I'm going to do, because I want to make better use of the space underneath the long arm, because it takes up so much square footage, and I feel like it needs to be a productive use of space as
Under
opposed to
the long
just like
arm is an
catch-all for
opportunity.
crap, you know? But it's a challenging space because a lot of the conventional storage stuff doesn't quite fit under it. But I
Mhm.
found that most upper cabinets will fit underneath the long arm. But I don't want to pay, a couple $100 for upper cabinets. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the Restore near us, and the Habitat for Humanity Restore. So it's like people who've like redone their kitchen, and they took the cabinets off the wall very nicely, and so that they can be reused somewhere. And so then you can get it for a decent price, because it's used. And so I think I'm going to do that and like paint them, and like just see what I can find for underneath there. Because it doesn't have to be gorgeous. I would like it to be like somewhat aesthetic, but if it's not
It's still sort of hidden under there, so
exactly. But then I can store things, like I should be able to store like my long arm rulers and things like that, and just make better sense of things, or have bins where like my bag zippers all are, or something like that.
that makes sense. You'll be proud of me.
Ideally,
I'm currently pressing open, just a side
I
note.
am very proud of you. You should be proud of you too.
It is worth it for some projects. All right.
It is for sure. So what are you making that requires all these hash square triangles?
I am doing a quilt test for a quilter on Instagram who is putting out a new pattern. And it
That's exciting.
requires a lot of blocks because it's on point.
Ah,
So, yeah.
yes, that'll do it.
I'm like, can't we just make it not on point? But it would really ruin the aesthetic. So,
It would.
so 85 blocks of this for a large throw seems, you know,
That's a lot of
what?
blocks.
Yeah, I know.
What size are these hash square triangles?
They end up being 4.5. So they're four finished.
Well, that's not bad.
No, but still, it's a lot of pressing.
I forget which one it was. There was one quilt that I did that had something like 1,000 things that needed to be trimmed down. And when I was on
Oh,
my second
Lord.
afternoon of doing it, I was like, I am regretting my life choices right now. Why did I think
You're
this
like,
was a good idea?
this was a terrible idea.
I know, but it's like you're way too far down the rabbit hole at that point to turn back.
God, I love my Alyssa though for this. When you're like throwing your iron to the side to like keep going.
Yeah, well, and not having to lift it up all that time. That would
I just
be
like bring it in,
really
the
nice.
press,
You know,
throw it
I
away.
interviewed the inventor of the Alyssa once when we had a podcast.
Really?
Yes, so he was in Harvard something, some Harvard graduate program. And the assignment was to rethink an everyday project and like re-engineer it to be different. And so he looked at it and he thought, well, when you're ironing, like when you put it up like this, it's,
It's
not
a
so
waste of time and
stable.
energy. Yeah.
Well, it's not stable. It can fall off, it can hurt you, it can burn you. And then constantly doing this is, yeah, a waste of time and energy. So he thought, well, what if it just lifts up? And he used iTouch technology before we like used it for all of our cell phones. So it was really kind of a pioneering thing at the time to use it.
So cool.
And I don't think I mean, he was not a sewer or quilter by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't think he realized how much the culture like give it to me. And
Like
it
we
just
needed that. That is
yes,
exactly what we needed.
yes. And so he
It
was
is a
just like,
safety thing for me. When I started sewing a lot more seriously, I got one. I had even texted you. I'm like, what do I get? You're like, you get
I
an Alysso because
I burned the
it's not going to
bejesus out
tip
of
over.
myself. I wonder if I still have the scar. I do still have the scar. There's a scar right here when I got myself real good with a regular iron. And like this was like a couple years ago. This is recent. Like I should have known better kind of a thing.
You're not like I was like 5. You're like,
No,
no,
this was
I
like
was
like
thirty-five
I
and
owned a business. There were like 14 people working for me. I was in the back with Mary shipping and I burned the bejesus out of my and she's like,
oh
does it hurt?
man,
And I'm like, yeah, it does. It hurts
that
a lot.
hurts. I'm done
Oh
with that.
goodness. But
Oh my gosh.
I have gotten through 4 of these. I'm wondering if I
Well, at
want to
this
start another
rate,
one.
you might be done with next year before with last year before next year.
Maybe. I mean, my goal is to finish it within like 6 months.
All right.
I could finish it if I were more put together. If I did like 3 rows a night on average, I could
Oh God, that
finish.
would seem like a lot.
It's like an hour and a half. So, like some nights, I totally have the mental capacity to sit down and just, watch a movie and do this. And then other nights, I'm like, no,
No.
I'm not doing that today. We're not going to play that game. But
We have done well. It is 11:30.
it
How are
is
you feeling?
11:30. I am tired because I slept like 3 hours last night, but I'm liking the way this is looking.
Oh, it looks really pretty.
You can really tell. like, so these are my cold colors
Hmm.
because purple is like my coldest color. So it goes like purple, or actually, I think pink is my coldest color. So it's like pink and then purple and then blue. And then
You would
green
do it
is when
opposite of me.
yeah.
I would
And well,
have pink as my most common color.
I wanted the hottest colors to be like red.
Hmm.
So then pink is at the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I did it the way I did it. But I think it's going to actually end up that the more common ones are going to be all my teal. So I think there's going to be quite
Yeah.
a bit of teal because this
And
is
that's
all
what you
like
would want.
the 50s or 40s and 50s are in this colorway. But
Perfect.
yeah, it works out.
Well,
But
I'm gonna have to pick up some crochet tips from you and,
I'm
start
trying to,
practicing knitting so I don't get kicked out of knitting this year.
you're funny. We can knit a dishcloth. You can learn that way. It's a good
What
way to
was
start.
it you were teaching me about what dishcloth should be made of?
It is you want 100% cotton,
Okay.
and I'm trying to remember what it's called. It's like sugar something is what it's called.
So why I
It's
ask
very
is because I'm
commonly
getting new
available.
towels.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm
are you?
getting new towels and there's like, you know, these like microfiber opportunities. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm thinking about
That was so really
that.
weird to knit with.
Yeah. Well, I don't think a microfiber towel would, I think it would end up being stinky eventually, like if it's your bath towel. Would it?
Maybe. I don't know. So
Anyways, it's an adjacency, but not necessarily relevant. I'm getting
this
towels.
sugar and cream, you're gonna see this everywhere.
Oh yeah,
This
yeah, yeah,
is
yeah.
this is at all the big box stores and even the yarn shops that
Hmm.
stock dishcloth yarn will stock this stuff. Because people do not want fancy yarn for their dish towels. They just want something that's gonna be functional. And it does not feel nice when you're working with it at all. Um, Big twist. I'm not positive if this is a Joann's only brand, but it is also the one that I'm using for my temperature blanket.
Oh yeah,
You
I
can
have some of
find
that.
this too, but you can get like three dishcloths out of this one
Hmm.
and two out of this one. So,
Good to know.
and they're cheap, like really cheap. Like
For your
you're,
blanket, are you worried about Joanne's closing and you not having what you need for it?
I might go buy another skein of everything as a birthday present to myself. It's entirely possible. There's
It's
one
entirely
color that
possible.
I'm really worried about, like really, really worried about. It's this blue
Mm,
because we had a whole bunch of it and it was before I had figured out like what I was doing. So like you can see there's a ton of holes in there.
yeah.
So it used a lot of extra yarn as opposed to here where
Oh,
everything's a lot tighter. Like you can see the difference. It's very
yeah, you
obvious.
can. It's
Um,
not subtle.
no, it's not.
Sorry.
Um, but that's what I kind of love about like big knitting and crochet projects. You don't really want to see that on a sweater that you've improved significantly, but
Right.
on a blanket, I think it's really kind of fun to see like where you started and where you ended up. Um, I have a baby blanket that I made for started for Angela and finished for Lily, where you can really tell the difference.
This
Um,
is why we have more than one child, so that we can finish our projects.
well, either that or it would be for a grandbaby someday.
Right?
But
I'm sure others here, are like, oh, I started it for this person, but I made it for that person.
I have a Mickey Mouse panel quilt kit that I bought for Angela that I think I've passed the time for Lily. So either it's going to be for
Maybe.
somebody else someday or it'll go to a grandchild.
Right? Be like, this is
But something
vintage.
it is. I bought this for your mother or your aunt.
Or
But
whoever. I bought it for somebody else. All right.
but yeah. I kind of want to see, I don't know how many. So like in theory, you're going to use a certain amount of yards
Hmm.
for rows. I don't know that I would get through it though. I don't know. I might go buy some more. But in
Well,
theory, I
my
should be able
understanding
to
is that
tell.
they're already kind of getting like low in stock.
Yeah, I need to go and just buy one of everything. I need to buy a lot of black, because that's supposed to go around the borders and stuff.
Well, at
Um,
least you can get a different black. I mean, some of these
I could.
colors.
I mean, it's all technically 100% acrylic worsted. It should be fine, but like these would be kind of weird to change up.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I need to go. I need to make a purchase. I just haven't. It sounds like it might go fast. Like if it doesn't sell by like pretty early in February, that it might like go to liquidation.
Yeah, kind of scary to think about, but at the same time, like they haven't exactly been selling things that I'm really excited about.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I know people obviously who work there, but so the human part of it sucks.
Yeah, the human
But
part of it definitely sucks, and I just having something,
well, having
hopefully.
something like when you're like, oh, I really need this and it's a Sunday, you know,
It's a Sunday. That's yeah.
yeah.
Or apparel.
Yeah, you're
There's
not gonna get that
nowhere to
anywhere
get
else,
apparel.
locally anyway. There are a
Well,
growing
I
number of shops that are
hmm
starting to do both, like quilt shops, but it's
hmm
pretty rare.
yeah.
I know we dabbled and it never went very well. Like we used to have like cotton and steel knit. Um,
Yeah, or they'd have their rayons or whatever.
yeah.
Um, I don't know. Well, I'm almost done with these half square triangles, all 85 of them. So that's insane. And I'm thinking it might be about time for bed.
I just started a new row. Dang it. It's all good.
Dang it. We can
I
stay
can,
on.
it's
I
fine.
can do it.
I can leave it here and leave it untouched because I will not get back down here for several days,
I
probably.
feel
I
that.
have I have a house to clean and a cake to bake and
Yeah, I can't. Make sure you bring
family to
down
entertain.
pictures of your cake. We
I
want
will
to
bring
see
down
that.
pictures of the cake. There used to be a time where like it was either going to be absolutely gorgeous or it was going to look like the cake in Sleeping Beauty that the fairies made, where it's kind of leaning to one
Yeah, like
side and might
nailed
fall over.
it.
Yeah, I definitely have a nailed it cake. Like my daughter's birthday before COVID, I made this awesome unicorn cake complete with a horn and this cool mane and everything. And then for the one I made during COVID, it was like it was so bad.
The opposite of that.
Yes, it's so bad. And like she ran out of the room at one point because it was like teetering and she thought it was gonna fall to the floor and
Oh
she like
no,
couldn't handle it.
for
And
real?
yeah, for real. And then I wanted to make like a rainbow on top with fondant, but I had to make my own because you couldn't buy it in the store. And Adam wouldn't let me use gloves to color it because he thought we needed them to like not get COVID and die. And so,
Oh my God.
so my
I
hands
like
were
this
like
story.
look like rainbow like Easter eggs for well like a good week after that because I had to work all the color in on its own because
Oh Lord.
it's like Play-Doh and then you're using food dye to go in it. And then it never did stand up quite right. Like you're supposed to be able to put it in the fridge and have it like hold its shape. But I didn't have everything I needed because it's, you're like trying to make it work in the middle of the pandemic.
Clearly you nailed it.
And so this thing is like going like this. I'm gonna see if I
Definition of
can
a
find a
Pinterest
picture.
fail.
It's so funny. It's so funny. Let me see if I can find a picture
So bad.
because it's really funny.
Oh God.
Let me
That would
see.
be like any cake I made, but you still have frosting on your laptop from our baking
I
show, so
do. I'm gonna have it forever.
forever.
Forever
Never
and ever.
never forget the night you
Let's
tried to
see.
teach me to bake.
We have a lot of gardening pictures, which means we're close. Here we go. Okay, so this is Angela's, I think, fifth birthday, maybe sixth birthday. So this is what I was trying to create.
Uh-huh.
That's what I actually created. and you can see the rainbow falling over on the top.
Oh yeah. And the colors on this, yeah.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
was
it's
so
not as
bad.
bad as I thought it was going to be.
It
I could have
was
made it
bad.
much worse.
Like I was trying to do like the cool like I watched certainly enough videos on how to do the cool rainbow swirl and make it look cool with frosting. And just kind of gave up and was like, ah, we're
Oh
just gonna slap
no.
it on here because this is not going the way that it goes on the videos. So if any of you guys have watched my videos and are like, she makes it look so easy and it's not, I too have felt that moment when
I have felt that before.
when it comes to cake decorating. But the year
But,
before, though, was absolutely fabulous. It looked really good.
you're like, at least that happened before, you know.
Yeah.
You can prove that, like, no, I can do this.
Yeah.
I swear.
I swear I know what I'm doing. The key is to chill your cake
Oh,
in between. So, like,
so
what I,
when the recipe says to do that, you do that.
yeah, well, so you got to let it get down to room temperature and then you got to level your cakes off so that they're all like the same height all the way around. Otherwise, you
Mm-hmm.
will get a leaning tower.
Oh,
And then what you do is you're going to put it all together, so you'll layer it up and be real careful as you put like each layer on top that it continues to stay nice and level and isn't starting to lean because maybe you have more frosting in one side than
okay.
another. And then you do what's called a crumb coat, which is just a really thin layer of frosting that goes all around the outside and the top,
Mm-hmm.
and that seals in all the crumbly bits so that way it looks really nice
Uh-huh.
when you put more frosting on, but you got to throw it in the fridge for like 30 minutes afterwards. And that kind of gets the buttercream to be hard enough to where you're not going to have it slide all over the place. And then you can actually do decorating without it
Oh,
being a mess.
all right.
But,
That that makes sense. So
and I did
rushing
not,
is not an option.
I did do that. And I think that's why it was going all over the place when I did it.
Well, any cake I make is going to look ridiculous. So, you know,
We
I'm
just did
doing
a
better.
lot.
I learned a lot
I
in our baking
only know
class.
how because we would watch Cupcake Gemma videos. This is what we started doing when Angela was in preschool. And then not every week, but most weeks, we would try to bake whatever it was that she made that weekend together.
Oh
And
man, she does not
so,
make easy stuff
no, she doesn't. So we made all kinds of things and learned a lot and got all the things. And
and had a lot of fails not on video.
oh, yeah, a lot of fails. And then actually, one of Angela's videos in her channel during the pandemic, I would enroll her in outschool classes so that way
Oh
she would
yeah,
be
I know what you're
able
talking about.
to like interact with other kids at least once a day.
Which is like
Because once,
Skillshare for kids.
yeah, basically. And it's like, so I had her in this rock class for like her science class, basically. And they were learning all about different types of rocks and whatever. And so they had to make a project where it wasn't a rock, it was some other medium, but it turned into rock. And so we
Hmm.
made a fault line cake, which once you do the crumb coat on that one, you take and you put sprinkles like all around like the middle of the outside of the
Uh-huh.
cake. And then you take frosting and you put it along the bottom and the top portions of the sides and the top. And so that it looks like you have like these sprinkle like diamond clusters or whatever inside the cake, but it's all very like haphazard with how it comes together. It
Yeah.
looks really cool. And then we did like marbled um cake sponge too by adding some food coloring into some of it. So she had a blast. And that video is still on the internet and we have her little 5-year-old voice and it's just
Oh,
adorable.
forever.
Yep. But and she did a
That's
lot of
awesome.
the decorating on that one. But we
That's
were going to be
cute.
gone. We were getting Jelly Roll actually when her final project was due. And so
Oh,
we had to prepare the video ahead of time so that way they could watch it in class.
you are good at doing homework.
I am, in theory.
In deadline, you do it.
Oh, and I don't know. I'm Northcott would not agree with that right now.
Well, they're not here
North,
right now.
they're not. They're not gonna.
They're not
It's
here
all
right
good.
now.
It is.
It's all
I
good.
had to explain to them. I was like, look, this is just not my full-time job anymore. I can't work at the same speed I used to, and my kids have been home a lot. And it is what it is.
That's
I'm
my
sorry.
reality. And so, oh, I'm going to
I'm
have some
loving
burnt fingers from all
how
of this
this is looking.
ironing all in a
I
row.
mean, look at how fun this is.
It's so cute.
I know.
It's you and me in a quilt.
It is.
It's pink and
I'll,
teal.
there's not going to be that much pink, I don't think.
Yeah, well,
I'm trying to think what the next colors are. I don't know. My brain is frying.
my I'm like done. My fingers are fried.
It's
Wonder
all
if my
good.
dog's down here. I want to go to bed. Let's go to bed.
My dog was down here. I don't know where he is now. That sounds good. It is pretty close to midnight.
We've done well.
We have done well. We stuck mostly to topics that we
Yeah,
pre-agreed on.
that's all right. We
Thank you,
tried.
Letitia. Well, I didn't get 7 days done, but I think I am going to get 5 before I go to bed. So that's pretty good.
All
And my arm
right.
is not killing me. So that's even better.
That is a huge win.
I'd say so.
I'm still standing, so I'm happy with that because it's been a long day too.
It has been a long. It's always a
So
long day.
it's always a long day. All right. I'll see you guys later. We'll see you next week.
Alrighty. Bye, everybody.